Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 26th, 2026 Select Board Meeting. I call the Select Board meeting to order at, what time are we at? 7:02 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by WACA-TV and live streamed on YouTube. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conferencing platform. Any disruption with the video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. In the event of a disruption, broadcasting will continue on WACA-TV and live streamed on YouTube. So we are going to start off this evening with citizens' participation. I see one person coming in. Line. Are we good? Okay. So for citizens' participation tonight, this is going to be kind of the only public comment period this evening. So if you have questions or comments that you want to make this evening on anything on the agenda, you please feel free to use the raise hand function on Zoom and let us know that you would like to speak tonight. We're just going to, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that we're not going to allow public comment during the agenda items specifically tonight. So this is the only time, so one-shot deal. Is there anyone that wants to speak? Okay, I am seeing none, so we will move on in our agenda. I see we have a 7:15 scheduled appointment with Carl Hackinson to talk about Warren Woods. I know it's a little early, but I see Mr. Hackinson here. Do you want to come on up and join us? Thank you for being here tonight, Carl.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Carl Hackinson, 346 Chestnut Street, and Vice Chair of the Ashland Conservation Commission and Chair of the Warren Woods Stewardship Committee. Good evening, everyone. I was watching the hearing that had to do with the telecom sign and Warren Woods at your last meeting. Thought it would be a good time to bring everybody up to snuff on both the past goings-on, current issues, and future issues. And I can do that, I think, relatively briefly. So do you want me to proceed? Okay, thank you. Some of you, this may be a review for Yolanda and Joe at least. When we first purchased Warren Woods, we had some gifts that were donated to the town, one from Northeastern University, one from Mass Audubon, and one from the Green Company. That did the lanterns at Warren Woods. The Northeastern one was quite substantial. Audubon was generous as well, as was the Green Companies. I was on the select board at the time, and we decided at that time that we would combine those three donations into one fund. And if anyone had any questions, just cut me off. So at that time, that's what we did. Shortly thereafter, we got involved with the Warren Barn and the Hall House. And we were trying to figure out how to best disperse these funds. And the board at that time created 5 different funds. One was called the Perpetual Care Account, which was an amount of money that was taken and invested. I'll talk about that more later. One was called the Reserves Account for, I guess, for emergencies and larger issues. One was the Barn Account, one was the Hall House Account, and one was the 22 Elliott Street account, the farmhouse at 22 Elliott Street, and the 15 acres around there. The reserves account and the perpetual care account were the larger ones. The Hall House and the barn were substantially smaller than those two accounts, and the 22 Elliott account was the smallest of the accounts. So there were 5 accounts. Subsequent to that, several years went by with the redevelopment of the Hall House and the redevelopment of the Warren Barn. Eventually, when we sold the Hall House, we had some residuals left in that account that I was no longer on the board at that time, were then transferred back to the reserves account. And then when the project began at the Warren Barn, that fund was transferred. The reserves of that fund were transferred back to the reserves account as well. And they had been spent down, barn account had been spent down quite a bit, the Hall House not as much. The account for 22 Elliott Street was spent completely. What happened with that account, it was a smaller account, but we put on a new roof on the farmhouse. We got the farmhouse painted. We fixed the porch. We fixed the bulkhead. We put in a new furnace. We put in a new water heater. And there may have been we got a new chimney. And there may have been 1 or 2 other things. But that account was spent down. So then it was down to 2 accounts that are controlled in Town Hall, the reserves account and the perpetual care account. So any questions so far? There was a 3rd account, and this was the topic of your discussion last time, that's not a town account. It was an account that we set up for people that wanted to donate to the upkeep of Warren Woods. And the reason that we had that is because whenever we do anything at Warren Woods, it has to go through the procurement process. And so if a tractor breaks down, which they do sometimes, or some of the other equipment that we have, if we have to buy equipment, it gave us the opportunity to just go buy this stuff instead of going through the procurement process downtown. And that's called the Warren Woods Stewardship Account. And that's completely outside of Town Hall. And I think, Yolanda, you asked if it was a 501c3, and it's not. It's simply a bank account that people that either come to Warren Woods or like us for whatever reason and think that it's a good idea, donate to. It's not tax deductible or anything, but it gives us the opportunity that if we need money for a radiator for a tractor or something, we just go buy it and take it from that account. So currently, there are the 2 accounts that I mentioned that are handled at Town Hall and 1 outside of Town Hall. The reserves account, which is some of you were on the board when we bought the tractor a few years ago. Whenever we take money from that account, we have to come before the board to get it approved. That was the last expenditure that we had from that account was the tractor. Right now that has, I believe it's $304,000. The reserves account, the perpetual care account has $280,000 in principal that's invested. What we work off of at Warren Woods is the interest from that investment. Right now that's at about $11,000. And there are, early on when we were setting up the woods and the farmhouse and the surrounding area, there were more expenses coming from that. Right now, it's pretty much the water bill, the electric bill, the oil bill, getting the furnace cleaned, and that's about it. So there's not a lot of expenditure coming from that account. We are going to get the garage painted this fall, and so that will come from that account. Again, that's about $11,000. We haven't spent much other than the monthly bills from that account. And I think that's not it for my presentation, but I think that's it for the accounts that you have and the balances from those accounts. Any questions so far? Okay. Now, how did this all get into the discussion? Yolanda and Joe remember this, about 10 years ago, we decided to approach the Telecron building about putting a sign, a replica of an old sign. This came from another idea of mine that no one understood except for me. But back in the day, there were two neon signs on the back of the Telecron building. The oldest one was for the Telecron, and then the newer one, which was still old, was for General Electric. When GE left, those signs came down. And they were kind of, I thought they were cool signs. And I was reminiscing about that with Cliff Wilson, and I said, do you have any pictures of those signs? And of course, he's got pictures of everything. And so he found pictures of the signs. So I was on the board at the time. I brought up the idea of making a replica for the building to kind of celebrate that building's contribution to the town of Ashland and the Warrens' contribution to the town of Ashland at the same time, that it would be recognized, hopefully, in perpetuity. It was, I won't say everyone thought it was the best idea I ever had, but eventually everybody agreed to it. And I believe at your last meeting you read the contributions to it. I think it was in the neighborhood of $17,000 to do this. There was a contribution from the Select Board gift account, from CPA, a couple of personal donations, and you mentioned, I think it was 200 Homer Ave LLC, and someone said, "What's that?" And it was the company that owns the building, Steve Brzezinski's company. Not only gave us permission to hang the sign on their building, but contributed it as well. So that's who that last donation was. You also mentioned my contribution, and I think, Claudia, you said that he worked that through with his wife. The only reason he's worked it through with his wife is because she still doesn't know about it. So why don't we stop mentioning it at public hearings, okay? But because of that donation, when you were apparently reviewing accounts recently, Beth Reynolds reached out to me and said, there's money left over in this account and we have to do something with it. And someone said, you had something to do with this. We have, I believe it's $1,300 and change left over. What do you think we should do with it? And my suggestion was to make it consistent with the purpose of the sign, which was recognizing the Warrens' contribution to Ashland. So I told her about our stewardship fund and how it's always in need of funds, and asked if it would be possible to donate it to, transfer it from that account to the stewardship fund. Because of, technicalities, it was not possible. So she called me back and said it has to go back to the gift account, but the gift account could then re-gift it to another. And so I think that's where it came into your discussion last week. And that's where I thought it would be important for the newer people on the board and in town hall to understand the mechanism for finances at Warren Woods and things, and where that whole process came from. So that's what you were discussing at the last hearing, but there's been a development subsequent to that Beth again reached out to me this week and said that there was a rock at the Warren barn that had been placed between the barn and the street that had a flat surface. It's a huge boulder that they found when they were excavating for the barn. And they wanted to have it etched with Warren Barn. And apparently there's no longer any funding to do that. And it was going to cost $1,100. So Beth reached out to me and said, would you be open to supporting transferring the $1,100 to finish that project at the Warren Barn? Is that consistent with the spirit of the original project? And I thought it was a really good idea. I totally support it. So I guess I would be asking you to support that transfer, which would leave $200, and if it would be okay if you could transfer that $200 to the stewardship fund, that would be appreciated as well. But, and sorry if this was kind of a last-minute thing, this suggestion from Beth, and maybe all of you don't know about it. It was only a day or two ago that she came up with that email to me. I thought it was a good idea. Subsequently, I've always seen this rock out there, but I never knew what it was for. But I think it would be a very good addition to that project, which is, it seems like it's taking a long time, but it looks like it's coming into shape. I think it's going to work really well. So I guess that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Anybody have questions?
So I mean, it's great that you've told us about all that stuff. Where are things at now with the Warren Woods? Like, how are the trails? How are the fields? How are the just general? I think you've hayed. Are you going to hay again? Or
Oh, well, thanks for asking that, Yolanda.
well, it says update on Warren Woods. So
Well, and you know, I can talk all night about
I know,
Warren Woods,
we
but
don't have
I'll
all
try
night,
not
so.
to. But no, everything is in good shape. Everything, at least today, knock on wood, is working. We did hay this.
summer, right?
Yeah, we did. It was the first 4 days of July. You remember the first 4 days of July?
Very hot.
Well, we had a time frame, and we had to work on those days, and it may have been the dumbest thing I ever did. I think that my wife thought it was going to be the end of the line, but we got it done, and we plan to hay again probably in late September. Everything works well. It's taken us a while to get used to this stuff because it's all new to us. So, and we only do it once or twice a year. So it's a matter of getting used to all the. We're not farm kids, but we're becoming farm old men, and so it's working. Everything seems to be falling into place over there. We have cameras in the woods that over the last few years have been filming the wildlife, which is pretty spectacular because wildlife, as you know, usually doesn't present itself when people are around. So, so to have these videos of wildlife acting as wildlife is pretty
Very cool.
pretty amazing. I can send some of those if
I'd
anybody's.
love to see
I was
some.
gonna say, yeah.
Would it be possible to send some of those videos to
I can send them to
manager's
the.
office so we could post it on the website?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
people
would
get an
like
Maybe
idea.
to see that.
WACA-TV would put them on.
My,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, let's see
Yeah.
what we can do with
And
them online.
we could
as
maybe
well.
send
Yeah.
some to the schools, you know?
my only hesitation about that, Joe, is we had a hunting problem there
Yeah,
last
you
year.
had poaching,
True.
yeah.
That's true.
And so if this stuff takes on a life of its own,
Yeah.
I never know who's going to show up out
Yeah.
there. And we ended up at the end of a barrel of a gun last year, which was a little bit uncomfortable because of something that was posted online.
Well, maybe we can get the footage and then, edit it so that it's just like of the wildlife or something, or,
Well, it doesn't really make any difference if I'd be happy to share it. I'm not sure about posting it online.
you're saying people, because they saw it, went and
Yeah,
decided
and
to
said,
hunt
wow,
there.
this place is a bastion of wildlife.
Oh,
And so it became problematic.
yeah, okay, now I get
Got
it,
it.
yeah.
So I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just
No,
trying
I
to
get it, I get it.
protect the people that are walking in
Yes,
there as well
yes,
as the,
Makes sense.
as well as the wildlife.
That's too bad.
But, the shed's in good shape, the house is in good shape, knock on wood. Like I said, we're going to paint the garage. If you remember, some of you probably don't remember this, but the 22 Elliott property is separate from Warren Woods. That came in a separate transaction. And that was dedicated to care and custody of the Conservation Commission for conservation and education purposes. And it's 15 acres and the house. We manage it all the same, but they stand on different footing. There is no conservation restriction on 22 Elliott Street. There is conservation restriction on Warren Woods, but there's a deed restriction on 22 Elliott Street, which means it's Article 97 land, and we all know what that is now, but because of the deed restriction. And so, any other questions? Is that
No,
that
no,
a-
that's great. Thank you for that.
Pretty good
Carl,
update.
who is it that pays along with you? Could you just tell us a little bit about the amount of hours that you folks put in and just what your salary is?
what our salary is? That's a good one,
Do
Claudia.
that out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
that salary. It's like,
You
they
know,
get paid like we.
going back a number of years, and some of you have gone back that number of years, when we bought Warren Woods, the people that advocated for it kind of made a tacit agreement to the town that if the town would buy it, that we would take care of it. And so we're not complaining about that. We're just trying to live up to our part of the bargain. So it's a lot of work when we're haying. For the most part, it's a 5-person committee, but there are really 2 of us that work in the woods, and the other one brings historical perspective, one brings an ecological perspective, and we're not complaining, but it's a lot of work. I mean, I love doing it when I don't feel like I'm 73 years old. I wasn't 73 years old when we started this whole thing.
I have one last question / suggestion, because I'm seeing this not only for your committee, but other committees in town, that we're all trying to get younger people who are in town involved and interested and wanting to help, or hopefully trying to step up and do things. How quickly or how far in advance do you know when you're going to be haying?
Well,
Like
that's a
when you're
good
gonna do the
question
fall.
because, as you probably know, it's weather dependent.
Right.
Usually it's weather dependent from rain, not 100-degree heat.
Right.
So what happened this year is it just so happened that we have to wait until July 1st because of the ground nesting birds, so we can't go earlier than that.
Right.
So, and I had some things that I had to take care of the second week of July, but I didn't know how long that would tie me up. So we had to get it done that first week. But everybody either said they were going on vacation or went on vacation,
So-
and then read the weather forecast and said,
gotta do
I'm
it.
hiding in the woods someplace. So, but, you know, we try to be proactive with that because it can be a fun thing. And I think that when we bought the tractor and the baler, we talked about this being kind of an Ashland
So
thing.
that's where I'm going with this is, I think a couple things. One, I think it would be great to have, get WACA and do some filming of this. 2, advertise it so people can come and sort of see what you're doing. And 3, if there are other people in the community who are interested in this and learning about what's going on there, who could then help your committee and keep things because, I mean, we all know that at some point, we're not going to be sitting here. There's going to be new potential stewards for that property as well as town. So one of the things we need to do is start getting people interested and involved so that it will continue and we can perpetuate that stewardship committee and that commitment and investment into that property.
I totally agree with you, Ed. Well, one of the things that I'm somewhat encouraged about is the latest or newest member of the Conservation Commission, Gabe Toledo, is a young guy who's very, very interested. He was one of my students when I was teaching, and so he has a lot of experience in being in Warren Woods before he became a commissioner. So he's like the first step, and he wants to know how to run the tractors and all of that stuff, which is really important stuff. And I did reach out to some scouts groups and things like that.
Great.
But it was last minute,
Right.
and I wasn't sure that I was going to do it because I was saying the thought of being out on a tractor when it's 100 degrees out was not exactly attractive. And it was bad timing because it was the 4th of July weekend.
Right.
In the fall, it won't be the 4th of July.
Right.
It may be something else. And it really doesn't take a lot of people to do it, but any help we can get is appreciated.
So that's what I'm saying is, once you have an idea, even if it's, okay, we think it's going to be one of these 3 weekends or a couple of days.
Yeah.
It's like, get that to town hall, we can publicize it, we can do some stuff to help support and bring people to see what's going on and help out if necessary.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I think it's a good idea.
Great, thank you.
And what do you do with the hay? So is it donated? Is it sold?
It's, back when we first got Warren Woods, the fields on that side had kind of gone to hell. The Warren Center had taken care of the fields on the side where the center is, but everything else had kind of gone to hell and was full of invasive plants and like 6-foot buckthorn. And I remember those fields because I used to hay them when I was young. When it was, before it became a conference center, it was just the Warren Center, and before that it was the Warren Farm. And so some of you may remember this as well, we were able to get a tractor group to come in initially, and first we brush hogged all of that invasive stuff, and then they plowed and harrowed the fields, and we planted hay in there. So the hay, we're not farmers, so the hay is good. It's not top of the heap. So,
You can get it by me.
but what happened was around the same time we were doing this, you remember the winter of 2015. We had the winter of 2015, and Eastlake Farm had one of their barns collapse, and they were in dire straits. And so we volunteered to let them come in and hay our fields to feed their cows because they were in dire straits. And we developed a relationship with Eastlake Farm then. And so from then on, for the most part, they've come out and hayed, and we allowed them to take the hay. Last year we gave some to your YMCA
To
group.
the Hopkinton Center for the Arts and YMCA for the haunt. We used it as seating in the
And,
arena of the circus.
Good hay bale.
It was great hay
Hunting,
bale.
it's good hunting hay.
I will attest that it was very comfortable.
So we've maintained that relationship, but when we got our baler last fall, we were able to bale our own hay for the first time, and then this summer for the second time. And so we still, he sends over a hay wagon, we load the hay, he hauls it away. I also gave some to one of my friends who, God bless him, he's allergic to hay, but he was so afraid something was going to happen to me that he came over to help me. And he has goats and horses, and so I gave some to him. And, you know, if there were any other groups in Ashland, you know, this fall, if you need hay again, when we do it, we haven't dedicated all the hay to Eastlake Farm, but as long as we have that relationship, we feel that it's been a good relationship. He did help us in the years when we didn't have our own equipment. We now do have our own equipment. So we sent a load over there, and like I said, I gave some away, and but we don't sell it. We give it. But it kind of restores, for those of you who weren't part of this conversation early on, it restores something that was part of Ashland's history at one time. That used to be a dairy farm. They used to hay those fields. I used to hay those fields. I think you probably know the story of the tractor over there. The old tractor was the original Warren farm tractor. And I learned how to drive a standard on that tractor when I was young. And when Framingham State bought the Warren Center, I was good friends with the head of facilities there, and I asked him if there was a tractor there, an old tractor there. He said, yeah, it's under a bunch of junk in the back of the barn, and it hasn't run for 20 years. So I asked him if I could have it, and lo and behold, he said yes, because nobody else wanted it. So we pushed it out of the barn and pushed it onto a flatbed truck and got it over to 22 Elliott Street and worked on it for 2 years. And now it's part of the fleet. Not only is it running, but it's part of the haying operation. So that's kind of a nice story, too. The tractor and I are the same age, which is a bonding thing.
I'm quiet. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. it's
So
o-
29, Carl? Is that-
Yeah, that's great.
So there's, I guess, there's a story there. We brought those fields back to life, and we like to keep that going because it was part of the Ashland story and the Warren story, and so
Yeah.
you know, we're happy about it, and we appreciate the support that we've had over the years from the board.
Nice to see Mr. Bemis's legacy continue, as he was the steward over there that maintained their
Absolutely,
property.
you know, one of the fields is dedicated to him.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I think he would be totally mortified if he knew that,
would be.
knowing him, but, so anyway, and I think I can speak for the other commissioners and the other members of the stewardship committee, would support $1,100 going to the project at the Warren Barn for etching Warren Barn on that rock. And if there is any residue, which I think there's a couple $100, if that could go to the stewardship fund, it would be put to good use.
If everyone is amenable to that, we'll put that on the agenda for next week.
yeah.
Yes,
And then we'll
please.
be able
Yep.
to
That'd be great.
Okay, anything
vote
else?
on that.
No, thank you,
Yeah,
Carl.
just thank you
Carl.
for
Please
everything.
send along our thanks to the rest of the commissioners.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I would also say one more thing. So this stewardship fund that you guys use for all the things that break and maintain and all the equipment and stuff like that, if there's a need for, you know, I'm like I said, I think we're probably in support of transferring the $200 to that fund, but if there is a need for additional funds as time goes on, you know, I think that if, you know, you would make a request to us to continue to support, like, I think, I know I would be willing to do that.
I was actually going to say that I hadn't heard about the
Right.
money for the rock. My feeling is we had talked about giving the $1,300 to the stewardship committee. I would say I would vote on that and then vote as a separate thing to take from our gift fund to do the etching on the rock at our next meeting if people are open to that. So the stewardship would still get the leftover money from the telecron, and then we would vote to do however much for the etching up to and not to surpass at the next meeting. That would be my recommendation.
However
for
you
next
want to do
Okay.
that, that's,
Yeah, we can
We would support
work-
either one.
Yeah, we can work on that, but my point is that, you know, I hate the idea of you all paying out of pocket for things like the maintenance of the equipment and stuff like that. So, and just because it's you know, a lot easier than obviously going through procurement and stuff like that. So if there's a way that we can help support that.
well, thank
Let
you,
us
I
know.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, it's time consuming to come through
Right.
procurement, and some of
Yeah,
this stuff has to be done in real time, like that day.
Right.
And so it's been, we've been lucky that we've had, not huge contributions, but I mean, we have $1,000 in that account right now.
Okay.
And so if we need to go over to Tractor Supply or to Lowe's or something, we have access to that, and we don't have to bother anybody downstairs. So, but anyway, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah, and thank you
And
for all the work.
again, we do have somewhat of an operating budget from the interest on the
Right.
perpetual care account. We try to make that specific to maintaining the house.
Yep.
Because the house, again, the house and the 15 acres around the house didn't cost the town a dime.
Right.
And the way we've been running it, we don't want it to cost the town a dime other than what has been already donated. So that's important. And I cut you off, Randy. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no. I just wanted to just say, just thanking you all for all the work that you're doing, because it's a lot of, it's blood, sweat, and tears, literally, so.
Well, I appreciate it. We love doing it most of the time. And
When it's
Except the
100
heat,
degrees out.
yeah. But, okay.
So, but thank you, and thank you for coming to giving us an update on everything that's been
Okay.
happening now.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Carl.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay. Moving on our agenda, under old new business, the first item is discuss and potentially vote on interim town manager. So first of all, I just want to thank all of our staff for all the work that they've been doing over the last, it's been tough for the last 8 weeks. We have a tremendous staff here in Town Hall and throughout Ashland, and I just wanted to just specifically acknowledge the work that Catherine and Beth and Diane and Susan have been doing. You know, the team has really pulled together, and I'm just so proud of the work that you guys have been doing, and we're really, really thankful for that. So according to our charter language, is kind of why we need to appoint an interim town manager. So I'll read just the short thing from our charter. So any permanent vacancy in the office of town manager shall be filled as soon as possible by the select board. Pending appointment of the town manager, the select board shall, within a reasonable period of time, appoint some other qualified person to perform the duties of the town manager. So when Michael had given decision-making and signing authority to Catherine Bird and Beth Reynolds back in July, and that was a temporary absence. Michael's official exit date is September 1st.
Next week.
And so we haven't discussed the interim town manager position. We kind of have two major choices, I guess, is the way to start the conversation. And and that's whether to go external and hire someone from the outside to come in as an interim town manager. There are people that do that for work, like that's their job. They're mostly
We've done
retired.
that as a town.
They're retired town managers from other communities, and it's a contract position, and they basically handle the operations of the community until we appoint a permanent town manager. Or we can appoint somebody internal as interim town manager. And so we have two incredibly strong and capable assistant town managers. We're so fortunate, especially over the last 8 weeks since Michael had been out of the office. I've just personally been tremendously impressed with Catherine and Beth's ability to handle really difficult situations, make decisions, work with our staff, and manage the operations of our town, literally without missing a beat. And they have both stepped up so much, and we're just very thankful for both of them. So my personal opinion is that we don't necessarily need to bring in somebody from the outside, but let's start there as a starting point and get feedback from everyone as to
I'm willing to jump in. I think I've sat as a select board member through both. I've sat when we had an outside interim town manager come in because of what was going on in town, and also as when we had an interim town manager from inside of town. And I agree with what you said, that we have two very qualified candidates in regards to our assistant town managers. They've already proven that they can keep the town going. I do feel that we need to select one of them as the interim town manager, but I do feel that we can do an internal selection and save any resources for bringing in someone to help us potentially hire a town manager versus having to go outside to find an interim and take the time to do that. I think we can we can make a decision and have someone running as the interim town manager as of September 1st.
okay. Anyone else?
Sure. Madam Chair, thank you. I definitely concur with what Yolanda just said. Over the past couple of weeks, it's been fairly clear to me anyway that the two interim town managers, either one of them are very capable to continue running the town as it is. To bring in somebody that has to be brought up to speed takes some time to have that happen. And right now, where we're looking at some major issues with S&P ratings and everything coming up, who else would be better than someone that's already working here that knows what's going on, instead of, again, taking time to re-educate an outside person who already doesn't know what's happening, but we have somebody inside that knows what's going on and is extremely capable of dealing with, those issues head on. I firmly believe that we should stay in-house for that. I don't think we need to waste time and/or money to do that.
I'll go ahead. I don't have the benefit to have seen things before, but I will say that just from an operational standpoint, I think that for an interim town manager, internally, an internal choice would probably keep operations going while we select a permanent replacement. I do want to say that I do agree with you, Yolanda, in that even though Beth and Catherine have done an extraordinary job, I think we do need to pick one person. And that's something I feel strongly about. But I think, Joe, to your point with the S&P rating coming up and a few other things, like I think for now, the first is next Tuesday. So I think for a lot of those reasons, for the interim position, internal makes operational sense right now. That's my 2 cents.
Claudia?
All right, I'll give my 2 cents. Well, first, I just want to publicly thank, Catherine and Beth, who couldn't be with us tonight, and certainly Diane and Susan as well. You really have stepped up during this, sometimes difficult time to help keep, steady the course, and it is greatly appreciated. It actually, to me, in terms of how we move forward right now, it seems like one of the easiest decisions I've made as a board member in terms of knowing that we have two very capable people that can lead the town. And so to try to bring somebody in for many of the reasons that my colleagues have stated, I think would just be rather foolish, frankly. So I thank you again, and I think I hope the four of you in particular really know how much your service to the town has been appreciated.
Okay, so it sounds like that we're all in agreement that we will appoint an internal. Yep. So let's talk about the strengths of both.
Do you want to do them as two separate? I move that
Discussions?
Well,
So I guess
gonna-
the strengths. I would say that Catherine and Beth together make a really great team, but they do have different strengths. So it's
Well, even their current positions,
Right,
right,
yeah.
reflect their responsibilities in the community, right, and for the town. And I think, that's helpful as we think about what the town needs to move forward right now. That's always a part of any analysis in terms of leadership is what do you need at that given point in time? And it's not that there aren't very capable people or that could lead it one time, and another time it might be somebody else because of what the town needs, right?
I think that's a really salient point, Claudia. I think, again, it comes down to whatever point in time we're in and what we need at the moment. And knowing that this is an interim situation, I think all of those factors have to go into the calculus. I think as we open up that part of the discussion, I want to make it very clear that, obviously, we're going to pick one, but that doesn't mean that that's a vote of no confidence for the other, right?
Correct.
And I think that's what.
Yeah, and absolutely not. I think that the key here, too, is that they have both brought a lot to their positions over the past year or so, and prior to that as well, but in their particular positions as assistant town managers. But I think we also feel that at this point in time, it's important for the staff in the community to know that to know who they need to turn to, right? They're having to turn to somebody different now, and so I think to be able to provide that kind of, so they know exactly who they need to, who's going to have the final say, where does it rest? I think that's helpful to the staff at this point in time.
so I was actually going to make a motion to say that we we have voted, or that I recommend that we go with an internal candidate, just to sort of make it a cleaner vote. So I move that the select board do an interim town manager with an internal candidate.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's a good
It's just
call.
sort of making
No,
it cleaner.
yeah, it's clean.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's fine.
we've had the discussion, we've
Yep.
made the decision.
Yep.
And then again, similar to what Makita and Claudia were saying, I think we have two very strong candidates. They both have their focuses, they both have their strengths, they both have different skill sets to some extent, even though they're both called assistant town managers. We know that their roles and what they do under them is very different. And I think the idea that as we move one of them forward for the town manager, it's, as others have said, it's what are we needing in the interim town manager, and what those skills are, that they don't, both assistant town managers do not have the same skills. Right. They're both great, they do a great job, they advocate, they do the work that they're doing, but it's not the same work.
Right.
And it's time for, with Michael's time being done, that we have one town manager for, I always say it as, the buck stops here. Like, there's the one person who, depending on what's going on, if there's an emergency, it's not, oh, well, is it this kind of an emergency, or is it that kind of an emergency, and that would determine who I go
Who,
to.
yeah, what role is coming
It's
into.
one interim town manager. So it's
Don't
not an
disagree.
easy decision, but I think
No. You have
that's where
two,
we're at.
Yeah.
you're right, Yolanda, we have two qualified individuals that could do the job either way. And again, their skill set is different from one another, and rightfully so. So, I'm sure that conversations have been had with both of them, and hopefully they're in agreement with one another to do the job that's going to be asked of them to do. And it's not easy shoes to fill in as an interim, so it's,
So unfortunately, I think you're going to have to repeat what you said at the top of the meeting, that we're not taking
Oh.
public
Yeah.
comment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I do see a couple hands raised on Zoom. I did want to let you know that we had said at the very beginning of the meeting that that public comment was going to be reserved for citizens' participation at the front of the meeting. So we won't be taking public comment at this time. So I just wanted to let the folks know that have their hand raised that there's not going to be public comment at this time.
Great.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
good,
Right in
good
my
point.
face. So.
No, that's good. My angle is a little.
Oh, yeah. No,
is a little off tonight. So, I mean, to that point, we look at the strengths of both of our assistant town managers. For anyone that doesn't know Beth Reynolds and Catherine Bird, I would say Beth is like an amazing creative problem solver. She brings people together. She's like out in the community working really hard at building the strong relationships within the community. She has that economic development background. And, from a project standpoint, like a project management standpoint, no one can get a project done like Beth Reynolds. She is amazing. And then Catherine comes from an HR background and is more operational in nature. And so she has a strong relationship with our staff, which is really important, very well respected. And one thing I've learned from Catherine over the last few weeks is that she's really good at having really tough conversations, which I think is really, really important too. So, but this is what makes them a really good team, is the fact that they balance one another out. But again, it's different skill sets. So,
Just to help the public, because you are talking a little bit about it, can we reiterate, and I'm trying to find it on the website, but it's not there, the job, the assistant town manager of debt and the assistant town, I think that might help people
So
sort of
the
determine.
general way that has been characterized, right, was Beth was sort of the outward facing, and Catherine was the inward facing, right? That, I don't know.
Okay.
So what are your titles? Because that would help, I think, as people hear this conversation.
Yeah, I think contextually, that would be
That's a good
helpful.
point. Okay, hold on.
That's okay. Go for it.
So mine is Assistant Town Manager for Administration and Operations, and Beth is, forgive me if I mess this up, but it's Assistant Town Manager for, oh my gosh, Community Development, and I believe it's Community, Outreach or Engagement. Yes, I'll find it for you.
Okay.
It's a long one.
Yep.
But basically, they've split up departments. So things like, recreation, senior services, human services, planning, that has fallen into Beth's realm, communication, whereas HR and more internal operations, finance, and like town clerk and
Human Services.
human services has fallen more, has fallen to Catherine. One of the other things that I didn't mention, but needed to mention is that the interim town manager would also be our police commissioner, because that is that role, part of the charter. So that is part of the role as well. So I guess my question to you all is, what do you feel the town needs right now? And how do we fill this interim role, which will probably be from somewhere between like 4, maybe 6 months, is sort of the timeline that we're looking at.
Thanks for adding that timeline, by the way, because that, again, brings more context to, and it helps us sort of as we're deliberating, what we're doing. And since my jowls are flapping, I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to keep going. Just to kind of kick us off, like, I think, when we're talking about, what does a town really need right now? Insofar as keeping the lights on, keeping things running. I think we have a deep administrative and operational need right now for that. And just going on titles alone and responsibilities alone, with administration, finance, operations, I think that is the direction we should go in for the next few months, but that's 4 to 6 months as we determine a permanent replacement, so that we can keep things running best as possible. Not to diminish, the other operations or the other things that need to be done in town, but I think just for keeping town hall going, I think that, in my mind, would be the priority to have at the helm.
Just to add to really, I agree with what Makita has said, and really, on some level, it isn't really even exactly about skills. It's almost about what the experience, because of what they are currently have worked on over the past year. And so it's a little bit about the experience of working with those departments, with finance, with the operational pieces. So, I think that background right now going forward for 4 months would be important.
Yeah, I'll jump in as well. I think this is one of those hard ones, right? As we said when we started this conversation, that we have 2 qualified candidates that are just qualified in different things. And I know the name hasn't been said, but I would recommend that we ask Catherine to be our interim town manager, to continue the work she's already doing in our finance, in our HR department, and working with our finance team and some of the things that she's been working with. And I know, or I truly believe that Beth would, work with her, right? So even though we're going to have a named interim town manager, they're still a team. We've seen that in the last 8 weeks, as well as the 1.5 years since they've both been appointed. So but I would recommend that we ask Catherine to be our interim town manager.
It's a 1 and 1A. And it's a difficult decision, but I think it's the right decision.
All right. Does anyone else have anything
I'm good with it.
to add?
Do we need to make a motion?
Well, let me ask,
we need to-
well, before we make a
Does she,
motion.
does she want the
Let's-
job?
Let's
Does she
ask-
want it?
Let's ask Catherine,
We're talking about.
because it is,
Is she in the room?
It's a big step.
so,
It is a big
It is,
step.
I mean,
It's huge.
can't assume that.
yeah, Catherine just wanted to clarify that Michael took care of finance.
No, oh,
So,
right, before
yeah,
this.
yes,
Before,
yes,
before
yes,
Michael left,
yes.
it was Michael.
Okay.
No,
I just wanted to-
I'm completely aware, it's been in the
Yes.
last 8 weeks.
Yes,
It's
been,
okay, it's been both.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to clarify.
I think that's,
Yes.
thank you for
That's a good
making that
clarification.
clarification,
Thank
and that's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay. So, you've been listening to our conversation. How do you feel about stepping into this role for the next 4 to 6 weeks? Do you have
4 to 6 months.
4 to
Months.
6
Not
months?
weeks. We're not finding an interim town manager that fast.
That would,
That'd be
no,
great,
that
but
would be great.
Yeah.
Sorry, 4 to 6 months. What are your thoughts? I just think it's important.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So first of all, I would be honored to serve the town of Ashland and continue to serve the town of Ashland. I truly enjoy my time here. I enjoy working with the team. This is a great team to work with, and I think we've shown how strong we are over the past several weeks. I don't think we've skipped a beat, and so I would love to continue to serve for the town in the interim position.
All right, thank you.
Then I move that we appoint Catherine Bird as the interim town manager until we find a permanent replacement.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And thank you.
Beth, for stepping,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, and thank you,
Absolutely.
Beth, as well.
And around that whole issue, I just wanted to also bring up compensation, in that I know we're still working out some of the financial things, and we should know more information in the next few weeks about finances and things like that. But I would like to make a suggestion that that we do compensate both Catherine and Beth for the work that they've been doing over, since this whole began.
Executive
So
session discussion.
I would say, if we still have to work that all out, but just if generally speaking that we supported, if we support that, then that's, I think, an important thing to say. And I would also say, I think it would be fair to have that be retroactive to July 1st.
I would recommend that we start with an exec session
Yes.
next meeting and ask Labor Council to be there to sort of talk about what we think that should look like.
Okay.
From a financial perspective and based on what they've been doing, what they're going to be doing, and take it from there.
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds
I
good.
think that
it's
makes
the
sense.
wise thing to do.
Because we are now their direct bosses.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, we've been since, with Michael stepping down, we've
Right.
been their direct bosses because they didn't have a boss, so.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
I
okay.
think also, just as we're going along with this process,
Yep.
I think discussion will eventually turn to what our process and what we need to do to look for a permanent replacement.
That's next on the agenda.
So, yes, I'm not trying to move things along. But maybe I am. I don't know. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover on under the interim?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, guys. That was a good discussion. So the next item on the agenda is discuss the search process for a permanent town manager. And so kind of bear with me here because there's lots of moving parts with this. And so I kind of drafted up just bullet points to go through. So I did some research of how towns really approach this. And generally speaking, towns have a screening committee. And that screening committee is made up of a combination of staff, different board members, and members of the public. So what happens is that the screening committee does the initial work. So they receive the resumes, they do like first round interviews, they develop screening questions, so they do all of that based on direction from us, basically. So a charge from us. Yep.
What number membership are you looking at now? What
Well,
would be the number?
we'll get there. I'm just kind of
sorry,
trying to
okay.
outline
Yeah.
sort of
Process.
like more high level, and then we'll talk about numbers and how that is made up and stuff. But so basically, the screening committee does the initial work. They make recommendations to the select board of a finalist list. What the screening committee does is all done in executive session, so the names are not public until they make recommendations to the select board. Generally, it's like possibly like 3 finalists, depending on how many applicants we have. And then the select board does public final interviews of those candidates.
No,
I
there
just
will
want to
be-
point out
I'm sorry.
that the reason that's initially done in executive session is because frequently people don't want their names out in public, that they're
Right.
looking for a
Right.
job.
Right.
Until when they're a finalist, then, there's no choice in the matter, so.
That is exactly what I was going to ask. So thank
We're
you
going
for
to
answering.
we'll tag team. I think Claudia's had much more experience with this whole thing than I have in her previous life with school committee and principal, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but, so we would do the final interviews. The select board hires the town manager and negotiates the contract. So that would be following our deliberation and decision and vote. So, and we could potentially, we also have another decision to make, whether or not we want to hire a consultant, like an external consultant that can help with the search, or we can post the position ourselves through organizations like MMA and have, there's word of mouth, but MMA is kind of the big one. The role of a consultant would be to recruit the applicants. They kind of know who might be in the market for a town manager position, and manage the process for the search and work with the screening committee. So they're not, the screening committee works in conjunction with the consultant. It does come with a cost. So the estimate that I had heard was approximately $20,000, but I did talk to attorney Lisa Mead, and she thinks that's a low estimate. So just kind of keeping that in your mind. Ashland is an incredibly desirable community, but we know town manager searches can, I don't know how that has gone recently. We would, if we decided to not hire a consultant, our council can do the vetting and the background checks and all that. Okay. So that would be, we would still have that as part of the process. So.
But the cost would be included with.
It would be a different cost.
It would be a different cost. It'd be a different
It would
cost.
be a different cost.
I just want
Yeah.
to make sure, but it would be theoretically cheaper.
Yep.
Than, I just want to
Potentially,
make
yes.
sure.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, how do we feel about the potential applicant pool with a consultant or without? And, we would need to make that decision. And so why don't we talk about that first before we get into sort of the screening committee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to weigh in a little bit on that. So I think that, in this day and age, it's much easier to put it out there that we're looking for a town manager. And I know that I think we have a membership with, what was the name of the?
We use Clear Company
Oh,
for
yeah,
our
Clear
recruiting.
Company. And so basically, you give them the job that you're hiring for, and they put it out, it goes out to all these different organizations. I'm sure with MMA has similar.
Same kind of thing.
And so we really have, I think, a significant reach in terms of trying to get a pool of applicants, right? In addition to the attorneys that we're working with, who also would be know who might be looking for a job or whatever. So I do think it's important that we have somebody vet our final candidates. But I think it would be nice to go ahead and try to do this without having a formal organization that's, a consultant firm that's running it for us. And, I mean, I think it's an opportunity to not spend some money. And, realistically, while we wouldn't want to be in this, but if ultimately we didn't end up with the right candidate, it doesn't preclude us from whatever we might have to do down the road.
Right.
But, and I think you're right. I think we are a very desirable community for many reasons. And so I would really think that it would be great to try to do this and then just pay for some vetting services.
Yolanda?
So I'd like to chime in. Again, this is one of those times where I've had both experience with Michael, but Michael was a pretty obvious. We were going to, we gave him the interim and there was, a 90% chance that we were going to hire him as our town manager. But I was involved with the search before John Petrin came on board. And in that sense, we did not hire a consultant. We had a steering committee. There was, I think, 5 or 7 of us on this committee, and we sent stuff out and we recruited. And to your point, Claudia, if you don't find someone you like, you don't have to hire the people that you interviewed.
Right, you can
because we went through the whole process. We gave 3 people to the select board at the time, and they said, yeah, we don't think any of them are right. And then they got, John Petrin, through different things. John Petrin then put his hat in the ring. And then when we hired Tony, we did use a consulting firm and a steering committee. So we used both. We had a consulting firm that sort of helped recruit for people, and I think that was helpful. And then we did have a steering committee that was part of that initial vetting process of the first, I think they might have interviewed 7 or 9
I think it was
candidates.
7 total.
And then 3 were sent forward to the select board to do an interview. But I would agree with Claudia that I think in this day and age that we can get the word out that we're looking for a town manager. I'm sure many people are already aware that we're looking for a town manager, because I've been to a number of events where people have said, I know you can't talk about it, but I hear you're looking for a town manager. So I think for me, going not with a consultant, but make sure we use legal counsel, either Lisa, or Jamie. And then for me is the discussion of what does the steering committee look like? And how do we make that decision? And I think that's a decision that we would have, I would like us to make fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So that we can get this process started.
Okay.
Is that something we could possibly think about adding to our agenda for next meeting?
We can talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yes.
just to
Yep.
to
Yeah.
get
Oh,
into,
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
get into the weeds of
That
everything that
is,
needs to get done.
that is
Yep.
section 2 in my,
Okay.
Or possibly
my
the meeting
outline.
after
Alright.
next, or maybe not
Yeah,
next week,
'cause
but the
we-
meeting
Oh, the
after.
meeting after, yeah?
we won't have a full board next meeting.
Right. Kate is not here next
So,
week.
Oh, that's right.
so
That's
we'll-
right.
Wait on that.
Sorry about that, McKay. I didn't
No,
realize that.
no. But, so, I'm hoping, let's get through all
finish
this,
this
and
discussion.
then we'll talk about next steps.
So like what I'm hearing is, when we're trying to, at this point, it sounds like we're kind of leaning away from a consultant.
Yep.
What's been outlined is that a consultant would theoretically give us 2 main advantages. First, reach and outreach to potential candidates. The second piece would be the vetting piece. It sounds like we have those capacities already. So, or we would have those capacities with legal counsel for vetting. We have reach because it's 2026 and things are different now. So it sounds like to me that there wouldn't be, at least in this round, it may not be worth it for the expenditure to at least initially go with a consultant, because it sounds like we have the tools we need to get the process going. And I would, after listening to folks who are more experienced in this kind of particular process than I would agree with that.
I don't disagree at all. I
Okay,
think
so you're
that
comfortable with that?
I am comfortable with it,
Okay.
being part of the, even though I couldn't vote on it because I was still an employee at the time. I mean, I was able to sit and be part of the conversations and saw how the process went. And it went smoothly, and, and at that time, things needed to get done in the proper and correct way, and it was done that way. but I agree with what Yolanda and Makita just said with respect to it's 2026. There are other tools that are available to this board and for the town to get that information out there. And like Yolanda already said, people are already talking about it. It's out there.
Right.
It's
It's
definitely
definitely-
out there. So
yeah.
why spend the money if you don't have to?
Yeah.
That's me anyway.
Yep. Okay.
I'm good
All
with
right, so it sounds like we have consensus on that, so that's a
Yeah.
good thing. So, so what I did was, I started putting together my thoughts on a screening committee, just because I figured if I put something together and we had something to talk through, it was better than kind of starting from scratch. So, but like.
It's a base
this-
to start off with.
Exactly. So, so I was thinking possibly 7 members. I think, you know, 5 might be too few, but 7 might be good. Plus, if we don't do the consultant thing, then I would suggest Katie, our HR person, would kind of function as that coordinator of, so she would receive the resumes, the applications, and distribute them to the screening committee and be that, that coordinator position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So as far as the makeup of the screening committee, I was thinking from a staff perspective, you know, Catherine and Beth, who are closest to it. But again, you know, this is my thoughts. Catherine and Beth, 1 member of the select board as a liaison. Yolanda's shaking her head.
Keep going, keep going. Just go ahead.
I do have questions.
okay.
and I
Let
think
it,
you-
give us
yeah.
your list. And then
Yolanda
we
and I
can-
probably have the same question.
A member of either the school committee or the superintendent, a member of FinCom,
Yeah,
2 members of the public. So that was
okay.
my running list. So,
So here's my
throwing this out
question.
there.
If Catherine decides to throw her hat in for the permanent position, she can't serve
correct.
on the committee. So that's something, that would preclude that particular, if that were to occur.
Yep.
And same with Beth, because Beth would be eligible to
Right.
do
Yep.
that as well.
Absolutely.
If that were to occur, then what's the fallback position for who should, in your opinion, should be on that?
To be that person.
Yeah.
I would probably say like a member of like the planning board or something like that. Yolanda, I know Yolanda's done this before, so what are your
So
thoughts?
I don't recommend it be a member of the select board on the
Okay.
screening committee. And
Okay.
here's why. Because if there's 1 member on the screening committee, they then have to come to us as the select board, as the full board.
Okay,
And I think if you give a committee the charge, it's best if one of us isn't sitting there. I
Okay.
think we could pull or lean or whatever. My recommendation is, rather than Catherine and Beth,
yep,
Diane Mortensen.
okay,
She works with a lot of different levels, and I think her experience, and I mean, I would say Susan, but I think I'm seeing Diane do a lot with a lot of different outside groups.
yeah. And the
and
finance
projects And the
perspective.
finance perspective. So
Okay,
I like the idea of either a school committee member or Jim, because whoever this is going to have to work closely with Jim.
yeah,
Again, FinCom, maybe, and because if we're not going to do Catherine and Beth, I'm wondering if we do 3 members of the public instead of 2.
Okay.
Because it just allows us a few more general public to participate.
okay,
What I would recommend is that when we look at people from the public, we're looking at people who potentially have hiring experience or HR
Yep.
experience or things so they can evaluate the skills that the town manager needs.
yep, okay.
Those are
You know,
my ideas.
I think that we need, first of all, I think it should be Jim. I mean, the school department has the biggest budget in the town, very significant, and so I really think it needs to be him, because he's going to be working with this person, right? And so while a school committee member is fine, that's okay, but I think Jim needs to be on this. I think the committee might need to be bigger than 7. I think that we do want to have, probably 3 members of the public at least, but I think maybe we need to have more staff. We have, a couple of people who serve as volunteers like we do, but they're, we're not the ones who are going to be working with this person. I mean, I don't know if it's one of the chiefs or DPW but I think we need to make sure that the staff is well represented. I mean, I know that when we hire in the schools, that when it's, depending upon the level, right, there's a lot of staff involved because they're going to be working with the person. So if it's a superintendent, there's multiple principals on it. If it's a teacher, there's multiple other teachers.
Right.
So I think it's important, the people who are going to be working. I think that, the value of the people at large is that they, as well as elected people or appointed people, bring perspective of what the community wants, right? But I think part of that needs to be done in terms of helping to frame that, that we have to make sure that's well framed before we go out, right?
I have ideas on that.
We're
too.
not just
Yeah.
throwing out a volunteer talent bank form and
Yes.
saying,
Right,
we
right.
have to decide what it looks like.
And I think we need, we need to get public input on this.
Yes.
And I do think we need to use some surveying tools to get that type of input. And, it's just critical. But, and then just one more thing, in terms of like the town charter, right? So it's too,
Well,
we can't get into changing the town charter at this point. We have what is kind of a strong town manager. And I want to just make mention that, I think in 2026, you need to have a relatively strong town manager. It has to be somebody who is able to work across multiple areas and make decisions, have some power of decision-making. Alongside that, there has to be a select board that is overseeing this person, and I think maybe we need some language that reflects that better in the town charter, that this person needs to have power, but maybe there are specific statements that need to be added to the town charter so that, the oversight piece is something that select board members take serious, very serious, right? And not to cripple someone in their decision-making powers, but just because it's an important part of what you do.
I do want to just, thank you, Claudia. I do want to just jump in here. So just to getting back to the committee composition first. I do like the idea, there's always a danger of making a committee so large that you get no traction. So if we
I've
were,
been on that.
Really, tell me
Yes.
about it. But I think we've all experienced in different capacities, not just here, but that can happen. So while I do agree, Claudia, that we do need maybe need to widen the number, I would cap that, at 13 probably.
Oh,
at the
God.
most.
No
way.
That's
Nine.
nine.
Max.
Nine.
Nine max.
And 13 or
Absolutely.
somewhere between 9 and 13, it's just like a nice odd number, but
Between
like.
7 and 9.
But 9, but like you start getting into like double digits, deep double digits, we'll never make a decision and that's going to be a problem. So that was the first thing I just wanted to make sure that we were sort of level set on. The second thing is just composition. So did you mention planning?
I had said, because when we said like no,
As a possibility,
as
you
a,
said it.
yeah, as a, either a planning
Catherine
board
Beth,
member or
right.
Yeah.
maybe our town planner.
Right.
Like if we're kind of going more the staff route.
Right.
Maybe we have, our finance director, maybe we have our town planner
That
as
makes
part
sense.
of this. Like, just,
So
yeah.
So,
I'm torn because it's important that the staff get along or feels like they have a town manager who's working with them or for them. But on the other hand, I really want to see it sort of split 50-50 in regards to staff that we use and public that we use. And I say that because we're not going to get every department to be able to be represented on this committee, right? So if we say, oh, well, we're going to have the planning director, well, then the finance director go, well, why am I not on it? Right? So I think I'd like us to be, I'm not quite the word I want to use, but I want us to make sure that we have to let them know that not every department is going to be able to be represented
Right.
on this committee. So are there supports? So rather than management in a department, is there support staff? That's why I mentioned someone like Diane Mortensen.
no, Diane would
right?
be a
Works with
great-
a lot of different things, does a
Yeah.
lot of different, and is a resident.
Right.
Right, so I mean, that's the other thing. Not only do you have her as an employee and staff, but she also lives in town. So I want us to have that balance of the number of staff and the number of residents. Now, if we use someone like Diane, she sort of hits both sides, but.
Yes and no. I'd say like for that particular instance, it's really more of a staff. We'd want to make sure that the public was represented.
Right, I
But, like,
agree, but I just,
But I think that, I think if we can just agree on principle that like we should have some staff and we can kind of figure out what that composition looks like. And
But I don't think
general
more than
public-
9.
Yeah, I don't think more than 9.
Yeah.
And I think for the departments represented, of course, not all of them would be, but I think I would be leaning towards key administrative department representation, right? Not to say that other departments are less than or whatever, but operationally.
Yep.
Kind of leaning towards representation from those departments, just baseline, right? So as we're thinking about composition, to talk about the town charter piece and because this is something that's been kind of weighing on my mind quite a bit. I do agree that, and strong is an interesting term, right? I would just say that, as we are going to have to eventually take a look at, not eventually, but we're going to have to take a look at the town charter and and what those powers are. But I think as two things, during the hiring process, I think we have to make it clear to anyone who's throwing their hat in the ring that as the position as they see it now will change or be altered if the.
Well,
if
I wouldn't say it would
Not
be
change, but
altered. I would
not-
say that we need to do a charter review.
But there'd be a charter review, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
So like, just up front, so if people are looking at the charter and looking at the job description, they will understand like what might be next.
But couldn't we, as the select board, yes, we're talking, okay, we know we want to look at the charter, but couldn't we look at the town manager's job description?
Yeah.
Oh,
Some of
absolutely.
it is in the charter,
A lot
but
of
we
it's in
as
the
the
charter.
select
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
can have a
Checks
say
and
to
balances.
some extent.
To some extent.
As to what it looks like. So when we put the job out there,
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say, let's look forward as to what we think is going to be
Yes.
what the position looks like when we move forward with the charter review.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
I
what I'm
agree.
trying to say, basically, that, however we communicate that, if we do it with the.
job description
with-
has to reflect
The
what
job
we-
description has to
potential changes we
reflect
think we
future
might make.
state, or so people do not apply for this position and think that
Right.
it's going to be exactly as we have had it before.
Correct.
I don't really, whatever mechanism we need to do that is important.
Yeah,
But
Madam Chair.
we need to determine, but that's the key point here.
Joe?
No, I'll let Makita finish her thought.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say was, I forgot, so go
I'm
ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break your train of thought.
It's all right. The chain has left the
Where-
station.
Past experience and a lifelong resident here and being the longest on the board, you have to be very careful when you talk about checks and balances and what the select board is going to oversee on the manager's position. Because in years past, when the select board had more power than the town manager, that's when things did not go well for this town. And that's the reason why the charter changes were made many years ago to keep that from happening again. And from what I'm hearing, and hopefully I'm not hearing it, maybe I misunderstood, that you folks want to have a little bit more control over the town manager. And then that makes it not a strong town manager. And you'd have to be very careful because right now, the town of Hopkinton does not have a strong town manager's position. And you want to make sure that your town manager is able to do the things to keep everything afloat and moving the town in the right direction without interference. Without interference, because we've had that in the past, and it's caused some major problems. Take it from somebody who has,
I don't think any of us are saying that we want to be involved in the day-to-day
well,
or become the
okay,
police
then,
commissioners or anything like that. I think after reviewing what has happened with Michael, there is more oversight that we as the board, not to say what he can and can't do, or what the town manager can and can't do.
Right.
But just a little more.
well.
It's
came
really
across-
almost an
Sure, we set
expedition.
If I was able to
policies
think
and
that.
procedures, and we follow through.
Yeah, well, if I was able to think that, hold on a second, Claudia, you had your opportunity, let me finish my thought. From what I've heard, if I was able to think that, okay, and my mind is wide open on all of this, because I want to make sure we do it and do it right. I just don't want to fall into a pit that's going to create more problems than solve.
I don't think any of us want that, Joe.
Well,
I think I hear you, but I think, and that's something that we'll have to carry forward. But I also think that, upon examining the charter, like Yolanda said, I don't think anybody here wants day-to-day involvement. But I think we do need to make sure that there is some different kind of oversight to enhance communication, to make sure that the board is aware of what is happening in the town manager's office, and we want to formalize that process.
Okay,
So I
then-
think
then
that
make-
is the overall intention. I don't think that trying to do day-to-day decision-making in that role is what is being expressed here. So I think
Then-
that's what we're getting at.
So that train of thought then should be expressed as part of that goal for this process that we're doing. That
Right.
expand communications, because, again, this is the first time communications was discussed tonight.
That's part of
Tonight.
oversight, though, and I think that,
Well.
But we're talking
I
around
understand
it,
that,
but I think I called it
The
out
folks that are out there
Yeah.
don't understand that, so if I'm hearing it in a different way, you don't think the residents may have heard that?
It's a good point.
Similar?
that's a
So-
good point. Yep,
You just have to, we talk communications.
Yeah.
Let's make it nice and clear, so that way everybody understands we're trying to make this happen for the best and not for,
Joe, I think if you actually played what I said back, you would hear me say that I believe that we needed a strong manager in this day and age.
No.
Let me
Yep.
finish now. And that there's multiple, it's a different world than it was when you first came on this board. And that what, I think communication was a very good word. Thank you, Makita. I think it's key, like Yolanda said, that when we go out to look, that it's clear, that the expectation is that there's communication from the town manager to the board.
okay.
I know with the schools, as a school committee member for 9 years, we weren't telling the superintendent how to perform his duties or her duties. It was always a matter of, here's what's going on, here's what I'm doing, and this is why. You need to
Okay.
have an informed, we are the ones who are in the public. You need to have an informed group that can, speak to what's going on in the community.
I don't disagree with that, Claudia. Now that it was brought out at this discussion, I'm grateful. So, good, thank you.
it will definitely help us make the policy decisions that we're charged with making, right? So it will enhance our ability to make those decisions on behalf of the public more effective and more relevant if we have that
I
communication.
think I've found it personally challenging at times to make decisions because I haven't always felt like I had the appropriate information.
Okay.
So, and I would also say, we should talk about a charter review process on a future.
It was, well,
On a
it
future
was 5
agenda.
years ago that we should have started.
I am
So we'll-
very interested in assisting in any way
right.
with that process, so
You're on record as saying that.
put it on the
So,
record.
so even if you're not here when we discuss it.
That's
No, I'm
right.
kidding.
Maybe
We're
appoint
gonna-
next
we're gonna
meeting.
That's
establish-
fine, that's
I
fine.
know.
I'm not going to stop the gears of
One question for Yolanda,
Okay,
though.
go ahead.
I'm a little surprised about your saying that you don't think there should be a select board member on the,
On the steering committee?
yeah. Because I know in the school department, there's always a select board, a school committee member.
I guess my different experiences, so when I did the committee before John Petron was hired, right? There was no members of the select board as part of it. Might we have had a different result? If there was, maybe. But I also think when we did Tony, we didn't have a select board member, and when we did Michael was a little bit different.
It was
because
different.
He was interim, and
Yeah.
the reason I say no select board member is because a couple things. One, if we are part of the steering committee and we're then seeing all the names, granted it's exec session, but I think it would then, whoever's sitting there may then
It could be
steer the
biases.
conversation or steer who gets
Right.
put forward to the final three. And I think by not having a select board member there, it can be a much more open process. And then anyone who gets brought forward is new to everybody. And we're all then getting the information at the same time. We're all then reviewing the information at the same time. And we'll get the documents that they use beforehand, and we'd see the interviews at the same time, rather than having one person who has sat through everything and then is bringing that extra information when it comes to us.
Right,
That's
that,
why.
that being said, right, and I understand, but, you know, we're also talking that we probably need to have like the key, staffing positions that would be members, right? And I think that a select board member is key because they are directly going to be
Right
working
now,
with this town
right.
manager. Well, it's always right now, right?
Right, but
I mean,
I-
that's part of the reason why I
I mean,
think.
and we can, agree to disagree. I really feel that there should not be a select board member on the steering committee. I think it's gonna be, from my perspective, it's gonna make it a much more open and, I'm getting tired, so. I think the process will be cleaner if there's no select board member sitting in the committee and hearing all the initial stuff, and then, because then there just could be that, I don't know, sway or whatever.
It keeps them
Can I ask-
it keeps them
Unbiased.
unbiased.
There you go.
I'm going to ask Catherine, because Catherine's been in, an HR role for many years. What have you seen? Or have you gone through this before?
So I have not been on the town manager side. I've been on the school side like Claudia, and so
Okay.
her mix of individuals, it was a large group. It comprises school committee, staff, parents, HR.
Would you have any specific suggestions about how, like, members of staff that we should make sure we include in this? What are your thoughts?
I like the idea of having those key positions, so I would think you'd want your finance director there. I'd have to think about everyone else. but
Yeah.
I think you're going to want some of those operational, sort of more administrative positions in there. I don't think it's a bad idea to have some support staff in there as well. I'd have to think about
Okay,
the staff a little bit more.
okay.
I know you've done some research. I'll reach out to
Yeah.
either MMA, or I'll reach out to some organizations and say, what have you seen, right?
Yep.
And even select board members in other towns who might have gone through this and said, if you used a steering committee, what did that look like for you?
Okay.
And I won't preface it with or without a select board, just what did that look like for your
Okay,
community?
so
it might
how about this? How about, like, let's do that.
Yep,
And I would say, if we land on the fact that we're gonna have 9 people and three members of the public, is that what we're looking at?
personally, I think if we're doing 9, we should have at least 4 members of the public.
Do we want 4 members of the public?
That's what I feel.
Before we just decide on the
Right.
number, why don't we look at exactly
What
what
other people should.
positions we really want to.
Yeah.
I think that makes
And then see what it
sense.
adds up to. If we need to tweak it a little
Okay.
bit, maybe we tweak it.
We don't want to go more than 9, just from
No.
Yeah.
meeting times and interview
Yeah,
times.
they'll never
And
get-
you all of
I
you
would also
realize
say,
that.
that anyone that is on this screening committee should be able to meet during town hall hours. So it's
can talk to
like,
people.
so it's,
So Wednesday evening, so.
well,
after-
no, it probably wouldn't be Wednesday evening, it would be
No,
during the day.
During the day.
During the day.
Because,
Till
like, if you
7
think.
o'clock on
Until
Wednesday.
7 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So that's an option.
But we're
Right.
gonna need to have it be pretty compressed. Like,
Right.
we're not gonna have a 3-month period where the screening committee's gonna be
Right.
working, like, I think the thought is that once we give the charge to the screening committee,
Right.
they meet, they put together the questions, they get the resumes, they do the interviews, and hopefully within like 30 days or so, they have a recommendation to us.
Right, I just want to say though, like,
Yeah.
as we're trying to do that, when I said Wednesday, we want to make sure when we're selecting members from the public, we're not excluding populations. So like, if you say that like you have to do it during working hours, that could potentially knock out working HR professional who would have the talent, would have the ability to come in and do that. So you'd have a very narrow slice of the population who would, under conditions, either be able to dictate their own schedules, or are retired, or are self-employed, or, but.
I agree with that 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to make sure, if we
point.
want to have a diversity of representation across the community, we need to make sure that we have that flexibility.
And I would say that if you're a town manager and you're coming in for an interview and you're working with the steering committee, you understand that it's not necessarily going to be during working hours. It could be off hours based on when your steering committee is available.
Yeah, I'm also trying to be sensitive to staff. That would be.
I understand that.
That's
So
why I said
it's finding
Wednesday.
that balance. And-
Right.
It's not an
You know,
easy, not an
we-
easy.
You know, I
Yeah.
think one thing might be to even consider a Saturday or that. I mean, I think one thing that you want to try to do is you want to compress it, right?
Yeah.
And you want to try to do maybe a slew in a day, so that you're not trying, you don't have, I can't show up this day, but I saw everybody else, but I didn't see that person, or whatever. I think that you have to be.
Yeah.
And the other thing that might be something I've seen is, depending upon the number of applicants, is you might want to cull it, maybe the board might want to cull it, or we might want to have a group that kind of culls it before it even gets to the screening committee, so that they're not looking at, every single resume. There might be some that come through that obviously no.
Well, that would be where your HR,
Person comes in.
or your HR person would
Yeah.
come in, right? They would have the list of requirements of what we're looking for
Right.
and initial things that they have to look for. The other thing is, you can use AI to help cull some as well.
Yeah.
Right? So
Let's
it's
be
a
careful with
combination.
that.
I've done that.
And, yeah, I mean,
Just be careful with that.
I did it, before AI was really
as
big, I
you're
used to do it by
comparing-
looking for someone that spoke multiple languages.
right.
I would just look for that.
Right. But I think, to your point, Claudia, yeah, the steering committee, if they're getting 30 resumes, they're not going to meet with 30 people. They're going to, based on certain criteria, with the help of our HR,
Right.
they're going to say, okay, these are the 10 people we want to see, and of
Right.
these 10, we're going to put forward
Right.
3 to 4. I would think. I mean, that would be the process that I think makes sense. But they can decide that, how they want to, And if they have no one that they think is right, then we start again. I would hope that doesn't happen, but.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we think about, like, the key positions that we want to make sure we include? Let's kind of start.
I'll reach out and see
You'll
what
reach
other
out
people have done.
at our next meeting, if we
Wednesday.
have,
If we
next
can,
Wednesday.
Yeah.
We won't finalize anything.
No, because Makita's not here. so
Makina
we'll
won't
wait
be
until-
here.
Well, I will also go on the record and say this. Because we're dealing with a compressed timeline, I don't want my absence to impact what we can accomplish. Unfortunately, I can't be here next week, and that was long, I knew that
happens. Yeah, no,
long
yeah.
before any of this started. But I will say, I will actually ask you all, if there are critical items that you have identified that we need to move along, please go ahead and do it. It's my fault that I can't be here, but I can't hold up the town's workings to get stuff done.
Right.
No,
Well,
but
what
I
we-
think you bring value to
Yes.
to our
I
community.
just want to say that.
Yeah.
So just kind of to talk about like the umbrella stuff, and there's other stuff to go through here too, but I figured between tonight and next week, we kind of have a decent outline of what we want to do. We put it in a proposal on the, whatever it is, the 17th, 16th, whatever that.
16th, I think it's 16th.
16th. So not next week, but the meeting after, a proposal that we can finalize and vote on. So that would be the process. That would be my hope. And that way, that kind of really kicks it off. So, to the other point, the select board would really determine what the charge is for this screening committee, like, and so I would say to all of you guys, think about the things that you feel are important to the town right now, what you feel is an important attribute of the town manager. Maybe it's somebody that is strong in finance. Maybe it's somebody who's strong in development. Maybe it's a person that has, 20 years of experience or those kinds of things that we can put in perspective and we can talk about and rank. I would also say that, to Claudia's point about surveys, I think we should do a public survey. I think we can do a Google form, put out some, I'm looking at Claudia because
I already
Claudia's
started a couple.
Claudia's like the Google form girl. But I think let's ask the public what is important to them in a town manager.
Yeah.
What do they see as the most
Let's
important?
get that out.
Yeah.
And one
So-
for staff, too.
And one for staff.
staff,
Yep,
yep.
absolutely. I
To
think
start that process, absolutely. We got to do it.
So I would say, Claudia, would you mind putting together a draft of the survey questions?
Yep,
and
not at all.
Maybe we can look at that next week.
Next meeting
Yep.
and
Yep, I'll have
and
that
review
good
it
to go.
and get it out
She'll
there.
have that done by tomorrow.
She probably will.
I know she will.
Maybe
She's that,
Friday.
maybe Friday,
Maybe
but she's that good.
But I think that, if we get that out to the public, we get that information, we get some staff feedback. I want to make sure we get input from, free flow responses from staff, because we're going to take all that, we're going to take what we find are really important things that we want to look for, and we're going to call that down into direction for the screening committee. We are looking for these kind of candidates. Maybe we want somebody that's, has a history of, I'm just making stuff up, but maybe we have a history of somebody who's done a lot of community engagement, or maybe or a lot of work with equity, or all those kinds of things. So I'm just throwing that out there. So does that sound like a plan?
Works for me.
Sounds great.
Okay, all right.
Madam Chair,
sounds-
could you also provide us a copy of what you wrote down earlier today?
My stuff?
Yeah,
Sure,
so we can have it like an outline that you provided.
sure. Well, what I'm
We'll have
gonna,
to put it
this
as
is,
part of the meeting minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
yeah, this is just my outline, my stuff,
Right, but-
I'm happy to,
But you referenced it and we talked about it.
Right.
so
Sure.
if you
Yeah,
made it
that's
part of
fine.
the meeting minutes, we'd be
Yeah.
able to look at it.
yep, that's fine. I can definitely provide that to you guys. And, yeah, it's just my notes, which some make more sense than others. Just saying that.
Need to be pretty.
So, and then just other things to keep in mind, we can start working on the job description separate from the charge and all that stuff, because the job description is kind of there's sections in the charter, 5.1, that talks about the appointment and qualifications and term of office of the town manager. Section 5.6 talks about administrative powers and duties. And it's pretty cohesive.
Yep.
And so what we could do is start also working on the job description for us to review, and
Must be a current job description, too, right?
there's gotta be something.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
There is.
So, I'm sure, maybe, hopefully,
I'm sure
Back
Susan
in-
I'm sure Susan could find it.
You know,
Yeah, we
10
can
years
find
ago when
yeah.
the
Yeah,
job
but
was
it's
offered, so there must,
something.
oh yeah, there must be someone.
Yeah.
Something.
So, in my mind, I would like to kind of put together like a rough timeline at the next meeting too, about when, so if we have a survey that goes out to the public, when are we gonna have that out? When are we gonna have that back? What's the plan for the staff survey?
That's why you're saying, try to get someone hired in 30 days.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Just
okay.
the work that the screening committee does
Has
is in
to do.
30 days. So once the applications have come in, once they get their
okay,
charge.
okay, I'm like-
Yeah, oh, no, I'm thinking ideally, if I had my, thinking about it, I would love to get somebody in here by January 1, ideally. I don't know, so that's but,
Is it
I'm
possible?
I'm a planner, so like I can map some timelines out for
I could
folks.
see how that could work.
Yeah.
Right, potentially, right?
Yeah.
If we do our work, it takes us a few weeks. We select the committee, that could take a week,
Yeah.
that could take a meeting or two.
Yeah.
They get their charge, they do, as we're creating that, we're
Yeah.
already putting it out, we've done our work as to what the job should look like. So, okay. That-
And,
I
and if
see-
we
I
have it
see
out
that
there,
happening.
and if we have the job posted for 30 days, and we have
Right.
that, like, timeline locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we expect all applications to be in by end of October, or whatever that date is.
Right.
And then, the screening committee gets their stuff November 1, they make like that kind of, that's where my brain is going with this.
I would also think, and again, we can refine this more, is we don't have to wait for all the resumes to come in, right?
Correct.
As they're coming in, they could be given to the steering committee, so they can be reading them and looking at them, and, after
Right.
HR
And they're
has
gonna
reviewed
need to,
them.
they're gonna need to develop their questions, like their
Right.
standardized questions for everybody
Well, and they're
too.
gonna have to create their committee, right? They're gonna have to create a chair and a vice chair and a secretary, because if we appoint them, it's gonna be a public body, and they need to run as a,
No, well, it's.
we can double check, but I'm
So,
pretty
so I
sure.
was told by town council that, that we should probably appoint the chair. That would be something that we should do.
Okay,
So, and, so we can talk more
Okay,
about that.
that's fine.
But that's the recommendation from council. So I talked to both Labor Council, and I talked to Lisa Mead, our town council, pulling together all this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe they might have some job descriptions too that they
yes.
could give to us.
yeah, in fact,
Makes sense.
Jamie Kenny, our Labor Council, said, she's happy to help craft the job description and post and stuff for us. So we can work with her on that too. So, all right, so just next steps for the next couple meetings. So at our next meeting, next week, Claudia's going to do a draft of survey questions for both the public and staff. We'll have like a timeline in place, like a loose timeline. We'll start talking about the makeup of the screening committee,
I'll
and
reach out and see if I can get feedback from other
Yeah.
other communities who have had to hire a town manager, and if they did a screening committee, what it looked like.
okay, sounds good. Is there anything else? And then the goal will be to have like a process document in place for the September 16th meeting that we can
Vote on
finalize
and
and
vote.
vote.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anybody have any other questions on that? That was a thorough discussion. Catherine, do you have anything that you feel like is important that we should add or keep in mind? No? You're good? Okay, all right. Okay. We have other items on our agenda tonight, so. Moving on, review the Metropolitan Area Planning Council letter and vote to approve the draft open space and recreation plan submission letter. So in our packets, we had two things. One, so I'll read part of this. It's an extensive letter from MAPC. But just to give the members of the public some background and information. So we have our open space and recreation plan that is in its, that was sent for final comments. We are, we reviewed it, Open Space reviewed it. We've had a lot of work done from our conservation agent, Becca Solomon, sustainability, there's been a lot of work done on this. And we are in the final stages of getting this to submission. So the MAPC, so the letter that we got from MAPC, so it says the Town of Ashland's 2026 Open Space and Recreation Plan was recently submitted to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC, for review. The Division of Conservation Services, DCS, requires every community in the Commonwealth to submit their open space and recreation plan to their respective regional planning agency and receive a letter of review. So that's why we have this letter. So they review it in, with consistency for the Metro Common 2050, which is the regional policy plan for the Boston metropolitan area. And that vision, that Metro Common 2050, is supported by 5 action areas and 20 recommendations and 68 strategies. So it's a very extensive plan and over 200 policy actions. So they are pleased to note that the town's open space and recreation plan thoughtfully incorporates regional recommendations and strategies relevant to open space planning. The plan aligns well with Metro Common priorities, including advancing equity for environmental justice populations, expanding regional trail and watershed connectivity, and sustaining dedicated funding for open space acquisition and stewardship. So, and that Ashland's 5 open space recreation goals strongly support these regional priorities, which is great. The plan also reflects Metro Common's commitment to advancing equity, which is also really great. Ashland is designated in its entirety as an environmental justice community, and the plan describes a deliberate outreach strategy built around this designation, which is very great. They also said that the collaboration with surrounding communities is strong, and that they also commended the town for its robust and inclusive community engagement process. So they said overall, the open space and recreation plan is comprehensive and provides a strong foundation for the town's ongoing efforts to protect open space, build climate resilience, and address the evolving recreation needs of its residents. So thank you to MAPC for that review. That will get added to what gets sent. And I didn't know if anyone else had comments or questions on that, or, and then we have a letter in our packet that needs to be signed by us that supports that.
Support it? Do we have to vote the letter to say we support?
We do, yep. So if no one has any questions or comments,
I move that we approve and sign the letter in support of our open space and rec plan.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that,
Thanks to all involved for finally
Yes.
getting it completed.
yes.
And one thing, again, I think it's key about this is it does put us in a position to apply for a lot of different grants.
Grants. So thank you to the Open Space and Recreation
Yes, thank
Committee. Thank you again to Becca Solomon, who's done a lot of work on this, and Sam Riley, who's sadly no longer here in Ashland with us, but I'm
She's
sure.
working 5 hours, so
Oh,
we still get
a little bit.
little dose.
Okay, all right, so a little dose of Sam. She's fantastic. Okay, so moving on in our agenda. Next item is reminder, special town meeting is Tuesday, November 10th, 2026, at Ashland High School. And there's some warrant guidance. Catherine, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yes, so the warden.
Town meeting?
Yeah, sure. So just a reminder, it is on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday. And that's due to the holiday on Wednesday. It's Veterans Day, and the following week there's, I believe it's the theater club. I can't remember, but there was definitely someone in there. Yep.
Train's booked.
And so some really important dates that are coming up. September 20th is the deadline for the notice of intent to submit proposed warrant articles. We will send out reminders to all of the groups on this upcoming Monday, which is the 31st, just to remind everyone. And then on
Quick
September.
question, as September 20th is a Sunday, do we extend it to the Monday, or do we have, it has to be in by the 18th? Or can they submit over the weekend
They can
and see it
submit,
on the
yep.
21st?
They
Okay.
can, yep.
So it has to be postmarked or emailed by the 20th? Okay.
And then September 28th is the deadline for finalized proposed articles. And that is it.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay.
Is that is in an obvious place on the website, this information?
Yes, and then we've sent it out, let's see, we sent it out on August 5th or 6th.
Like all boards and
To
committees?
Yes,
committees
to
and
all boards and
boards.
committees, yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. The next item on our agenda is approve the request for night work from 7:30 PM to 5:30 AM. I know our Director of DPW, Dan Maurer, is on joining us on Zoom. And we had information in our packet about the night work. Dan, do you want to, hi, thank you so much for hanging in there with us tonight. Do you,
Hello, good evening, everybody.
good evening.
Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
That's okay.
Okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the request for night work and what is needed?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is having the contractor come in and do some night work. It would just save us a lot of time. I know it's a big ask, but doing it at night is just much more efficient. So right now, we have it scheduled, of course, with your approval. They would come in on September 2nd. They would do one night of grinding on Union and Fountain in that area where the water main was put in last year, and get that ground down. If time was allowing, and again, with your approval, they would jump right over to Prospect Street and just start that. And we anticipate 2 nights of grinding. And then we would go back to day work to do any casting, raisings, or any other work that needed to be done. And then we anticipate 2 nights of paving. Again, the same thing. They would, pave Union and Fountain first, and then depending on how the night went and time allotments, they would jump over and then start paving at night on Prospect. The benefit to this is obviously the traffic concerns. When you're trying to maneuver this big equipment around with traffic, we either have to close the roads, which then becomes a major inconvenience. But you still have to keep it open, obviously, for emergency and local traffic. But it's just the anticipation is if we can do it at night without traffic, we can get it done in 2 nights with all the work. Versus if we have to do it during the daytime and maneuvering all that, you're talking 2 or 3 days worth of work. So any questions, please feel free.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Dan?
I have I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go
Jerry.
ahead,
No,
Nikita.
go.
A quick question, Dan. Will the residents be notified with the electronic boards that there will be road work at night, and so they should be?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Can we,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I didn't want to be presumptuous and put them out there already. I obviously wanted to get permission from the board before we put all that out there.
For the intersection of Union and Fountain, there are no immediate residences around, but there are some there are some across over the bridge. I guess I'm just curious to find out how noisy this might be, or not noisy.
I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. It's construction.
Okay.
There is a lot noisier construction that could be happening at night, but it is big trucks, big equipment moving around. So
Okay.
it from what we're used to, obviously Ashland at nighttime is very, very quiet. It's not a city, so any movement out there is going to seem like a lot of noise. So I don't want to, try and sugarcoat it with anything and say that it's not going to be it's going to be noisy. It's construction, but it's just, I think yeah.
Can we do I don't know if we have this capability, a reverse 911 for the people who live there? Or some way to
Let them know.
just remind them that it's going to be happening, and
So with our new program called Regroup, we
Yeah.
can select that area out and we can certainly notify the people who have signed up on that.
okay, that'd be great, because I think, no matter if you do the electronic and you put it in a newsletter and you put stuff, there's going to be people who, if they're not going through downtown or they're not seeing a sign, they're not going to be aware. So if we can get them, give them the information, because they're going to want to have their windows closed at night and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Give
So
them a chance to prepare,
Right.
so there's not
the
caught
more
off
information
guard.
we can give them, the better.
Yeah,
Okay.
Maybe advertise that they need to sign up for Regroup, is that what
There
it's
you
called?
there you go.
I just, are there financial implications to this as well?
No, the night work, there's the same cost either way.
Super. So it's just Yolanda might lose a night's sleep now.
Yeah, well, it'll get done faster, so maybe there'd be a cost savings that way.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome, Dan.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions?
Actually, I have one question, not related to this, but I know it's been talked about, and I think you talked about it when you were here, the sidewalks on Fruit Street and the paving there. Are we gonna at least get some lines on that road before
Yes.
school starts?
Well, Eversource has their contractor, K5, coming back in. They were supposed to get it done before school starts, but I believe school started, I know, in Holliston today. I don't know.
Monday in Ashland.
Monday.
It was
So
not
they
done
believe-
as of
I-
Tuesday morning, I can tell you that.
I believe they're scheduled to be done Thursday night, but
Okay.
again, that's all weather contingent. And
Okay.
but yes, there'll be fog lines put down the side and the main. There's some temporary markings down the middle right now, but it'll
Yeah.
be the permanent markings down the middle
Okay,
as well.
We have a major crosswalk over there on Fruit Street, right by the Warren School, so will that get done before school opens? Or is that
It
something?
is on schedule to be done at the same time.
Okay.
Great, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve and allow the night work as presented at our meeting for those 4 dates.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're all good to go. Thank you, Dan. Thanks
Thanks,
so much
Dan.
for
Thank
for
you.
being here
Thank you.
tonight, and thank you
Thank
for
you
all
very
your
much.
work.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You
Take
too.
care.
Great. So the next item on our agenda is a public notification, DCR, notice of proposed land acquisition of 1.7 plus or minus acres of land. We have a map in our packet, so I'm going to just basically read the notice, because that is what we need to do, is just read the notice. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, acting through its Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR, has under consideration the acquisition of an interest in approximately 1.7 plus or minus acres of land or other property interest therein in the town of Ashland. The property is currently undeveloped woodland. The proposed use for the property will be protected open space for outdoor public recreation and natural resource protection to be incorporated into Hopkinton State Park. Attached is a locus map marked Exhibit A, which shows the property in which DCR is interested. The applicable regulations require the disclosure of the Commonwealth's reason for the proposed land acquisition at a public hearing held in the city or town in which such real property is located. So to comply with this requirement, the board must announce that the Commonwealth is considering this acquisition for the above stated purposes at our meeting. The board does not need to take any formal action on its part, but the announcement must be reflected in the board's meeting minutes. So, does anybody have any questions?
Just, it says a public hearing, so is this considered their public hearing?
It's
Or are
just
they gonna
public
come back
notice.
and do some kind of hearing? or not?
Town council, no hearing
No,
is
this is
required.
it. This is a discussion,
Yep.
us reading the letter and
Yep.
looking at the map to say, okay.
Yes.
But it's just adding to the Hopkinton State Park. but it's
Correct.
In
It's-
Ashland, so
and
that's
it's-
why we're doing it.
Correct, and it's not Ashland it's not Ashland
Right.
town property.
Right.
It
It's
is
someone else's.
private property. Yeah,
Yep.
so,
So we're just providing the public notice.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So,
So there's
they've
no
worked
additional
with the-
funding that will be coming to the town as a result of this?
not ours.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not ours to begin with, okay.
yeah.
Don't they
Thought
give
it
us
was.
funding because of the certain amount of property that's state, because
It's
this
in
will
the
now
state.
become state land.
Right.
And don't we get something on our cherry sheet for state
Yeah,
land that is
right.
in our town?
So you're
'Cause
adding
we
another
can't
1.7.
do
anything
anything
with
with it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's not gonna increase the cherry sheet very much, but this is now additional state land within Ashland, so I would
something.
That's a
think
good point. That's a good
something.
point. We'll
There you go.
take, if it's $25, we'll take it, so.
That's right.
You know?
Because, again, nothing's changing,
Yeah.
it's just open space, but now it's gonna be officially saved and preserved
Yeah.
as part of the state park.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and, okay. Does anyone
Good
else
thing.
No.
have any questions?
No, we're
Nope.
good.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is discuss a potential tri-board meeting for fall. I wanted to just put this out there to you guys, because I think
You do it.
as we're still trying to get our arms around some of the financial things for fall town meeting, but I do think that it's probably best to have all three boards together to have the conversation.
Yep.
Yep.
So we won't get our free cash information until the end of September, so I was thinking October. So I was wanting to just see if you guys were in agreement that we should do a tri-board meeting and then
Oh, absolutely.
talk some potential
Yes.
dates, and then I'm happy to coordinate with FinCom and school committee and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely a great idea. We should do it.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
Are there any days that are more accessible for any board members here than people be away or?
October
work?
7th is going to be a problem for me.
Okay,
I will cross that one off my list.
there you go.
September 23rd.
I think we're looking at October, 'cause
October.
we won't have, we
October.
won't have our free cash until
Okay.
the end of September.
September, right, so this, it makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah, so,
As of right now, October 8th isn't a good night for me. I have a commitment. But otherwise, I'm good.
okay. So if we look at the dates that we were kind of looking at initially were, you know, we have a meeting date on October 21st. So like, you know, that would be like our regularly scheduled meeting. We could potentially meet from 6 to 7 on our regularly scheduled meeting night.
Because the school committees.
And school committee meets on the 14th, so they, you know, we could do it after school committee meets,
They
so,
typically have shorter meetings, right? Like 6 to 8 or something.
yeah,
I don't know for
you know,
sure,
I could,
but-
I can talk to
Okay, to
Mark,
Mark.
yeah.
Yeah, the 14th 's fine. You know,
So,
either one.
like,
That's
I'm thinking
fine.
like the 14th or the 21st, are those two
Either or.
dates
Yeah, it's
seemingly
fine.
okay
Yeah,
for now?
those
Okay,
work.
all right, so let's pencil that in.
Okay.
I will reach out to John Moore of FinCom and Mark Terry and just,
Thank
yep.
you.
And we will get that scheduled. Because I know if we don't schedule it now, like, it's not going to happen, so, okay. Next item on our agenda is approve the reappointments. We have 6 reappointments in our, on our agenda and in our packet. Does anyone have any questions on those reappointments?
I move that we approve the reappointments as presented.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor? Aye. Great, thank you, and thank you to our 6 folks who are signing up to serve the community for another few years, including Joe and Yolanda, so thank you. Yolanda, we still need to do
Metro West Regional Collaborative.
Metro
because
West Regional.
This is MAPC.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 different, as I explained to Susan,
Yep.
2 different appointments.
All right, so on our next agenda,
Yep.
we'll put regional collaborative. Okay, perfect. So moving on to our consent agenda, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as
So moved.
presented?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. And I don't know where my other page of my agenda is buried. I've got it.
Liaison updates.
I've got it. Okay. Liaison updates. Historical Commission.
Yep, so I was at the last historical commission meeting. Just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. I think we may have mentioned before, but that they did just kind of wrapped up a talk about the ground penetrating radar at the village burial ground. You know, just incredible work by Bridgewater State and, of course, the volunteers on the historical commission. So thanks once again for all of your work. You know, I think this is going to be an incredible value add to our community, knowing what, who, what, how, making sure that we remember folks who are there and making that an attractive space for the community to come and learn the history of Ashland and be proud of it. So a couple of other things were mentioned, but including what we did not do tonight, which was the homeowner preservation certificate. So one thing I wanted to ask, I think we were kind of talking about acknowledging that as well as maybe the select board. So maybe that's something we can talk about.
We were supposed
Yeah.
to have that tonight, and
Yeah.
then he couldn't make it, so we're pushing that to our
We have
next meeting.
rescheduled that.
Yep.
It has not been forgotten, but like the recipient could not make it, but that was something that was
So
discussed.
we'll have that at our next meeting.
Yeah,
so
that's
absolutely.
great.
Yep,
So
yep,
hopefully,
yep,
or
yep.
the next meeting that the recipient is available for.
Yes.
And of course, there's a talk of Ashland Day participation and a few other things. So, yeah, the Historical Commission is very busy. There was also some discussion around local historic district. I'll probably have more about that in the coming meetings. But they have been full steam ahead this summer working very hard, so I want to acknowledge that.
Wow.
They're a very busy committee.
Yeah,
are
they get it done.
Yeah.
They are very committed.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by the work of that.
And they were at the farmer's market not too long ago.
Yes,
and so,
yes.
Yeah. yeah,
Unfortunately, I
talking
had to miss
people.
that, but like they did that
Yeah.
as well this summer, so,
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Good deal. Was there anything else from the Historic Commission?
No.
Okay, all right. So I'll give a quick update on Sustainability Committee because I was there last week. So they are planning to put forward a warrant article for November on the Skip the Stuff, which is basically, if you remember, or you may not remember, it's a way for restaurants to, like, the default would be to opt out of the silverware and the one-time stuff that you would need to ask for. So it's still available, but the default is you don't receive it unless you opt into it, basically. And it's a way, the restaurants are generally very supportive of this, and which, I mean, it makes sense for them too,
Yeah,
because it saves them money.
absolutely.
Saves money.
But they also want they want the bylaw because then it gives everybody an even playing field, and they're not policing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying, like, this is what the regulation is in town. So, and it's, so I think it helps from that perspective.
You said they are getting support from the restaurants
Yeah.
to pass the bylaw?
Yeah.
That way they can say, this is what we're being told to do, rather than,
Yes.
okay.
I know, I noticed once in a while I go to Starbucks and I notice now they ask me if I want a straw. So I'm sure that's what it is. I was thinking, well, it saves them money and it doesn't add
Part of
to
it is
the-
also kind of, they have lids that you don't need the straw.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but they used to always just give you a straw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you use it and sometimes you throw it away.
Yeah, so
and
this
it's-
is
yeah.
new and now,
Yeah.
and, you just always took it if they handed it to you.
Yes. So they are planning, they requested to come talk to us. We talked about potentially on the 7th, to just give an update on, or basically to talk through the whole process, the Skip the Stuff. And then they want to do a public forum like the week after. So, so that they have that all lined up. And they want to come talk to us because I think partly to get our feedback, but also partly to just drum up some support for the public forum too, that they're going to do. So,
That's awesome.
and then they do want to, we haven't talked about a date, but they also want to come and talk to us separately about their net zero plan and things that like basically show what we've accomplished so far in the net zero plan and what has really moved the needle. So, so they want to come and have that discussion about net zero with us. So that's probably after town meeting, maybe even after the holidays. We got to figure all that out. But and then the other thing I wanted to just mention, I don't know if you saw it in your packets. So they have a student, Rasham Aurora, who is their high school, it's like the Environmental Action Club, I think it is, at the high school. And so she's on our sustainability committee as the high school representative. And she's doing this project, this bottle cap project. And so it's upcycling, so people have donated, if you look in the picture, it's really pretty cool. When she told me that she was doing this, and I was like, okay. And then she showed me the picture. I'm like, oh my God, that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so she's looking to do a few of those and display them. Yeah, so town hall, like the library, like that's, she wants to kind of, and then put something like a QR code to kind of raise awareness about all of that too. So, but she's also collecting the bottle caps. So if you have like milk containers or soda bottle caps, like any kind of,
Like some big ones from like mayonnaise and
yeah,
peanut butter.
anything plastic,
Yeah.
Yeah,
anything
any plastic.
plastic.
Cool.
So they're going to make them into a design, and also she wants to see the sustainability committee wants to have maybe a table at Dragonfly with one of these, so people can actually help make it at Dragonfly.
Oh, like in,
that
like
fun?
live, yeah.
If people want to donate, where can they drop them off?
Here in Town Hall,
My house?
at
Yeah,
the,
no.
at the, yeah, I know, and and I have like a few, and I didn't bring them tonight, but here in Town Hall, the Senior Center, and I think the library, I think. Need to verify that, but it's a really cool project, so,
She'll be there at Ashland Day, too.
oh, okay.
Yeah, she'll have it.
Yeah, Resham, she's great, so she's a senior. And starting her senior year, so, but, yeah, so good things happening on the sustainability front, so, that's all I got. Moving on to administrative updates, so I'm gonna turn this over to Catherine.
Right, so just an update on the water restrictions. So we are still at stage 1, and the restrictions for those with municipally supplied water are unattended watering, car washing, washing of structures, filling and topping off pools larger than 300 gallons. And so those are the restrictions that are in place right now. That has gone out via social media
Yeah.
in the last couple weeks.
Electronic signs, too.
Question on that, do we think it's going to drop to stage 2 or stage 3? And do we want to vote to allow the town manager to extend it past September 1st if necessary? We
done
haven't
that
done
before.
it recently,
We have.
but we've done that before. Basically,
Yep.
what we say is, because we think that the drought is going to continue, that we put the watering restrictions to, say, October 1st. Because our bylaw says, as of September 1st, all the restrictions stop.
Yeah.
I mean, not the odd even watering, but some of the other stuff that was said.
That's a good point. What do people feel?
Well, if it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Then why do we have to come back and vote on it? Give the opportunity now.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Okay.
Is that what's predicted, that things are gonna stay pretty dry for the next?
So I was actually talking to Brandy about this before. I want to confirm with Dan at DPW where we are, and so I was going to do that very soon.
So what we could do then is, and again, we've done this in the past, where we say, we give authorization to the town manager to extend our water restrictions to whatever date based on what we're seeing for the weather.
If
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
If
So that we
needed.
don't have
Right.
to like
I
pull
think
an
that makes
emergency
sense.
vote or something, and they have the authority, especially if we're hitting stage 2 and the reservoir is that low.
Yeah,
We want to keep the restrictions
Oh,
in
they have
place
to-
at least another month.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
I think that makes sense.
okay.
I
Go
I
ahead.
move that we give the interim town manager the authority to make decision to extend our water restrictions as determined based on the reservoir levels.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then you can, at
Just-
meeting next Wednesday, you can keep us up to date.
I was gonna
and then
say, and just keep
determine-
us updated.
Yes. All right, so next up is the tree update. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the very detailed letter that Becca put in here. For those of you who don't know or haven't worked with Becca Solomon, she's our conservation agent and tree warden. She is she just knows so much about anything and everything conservation related. She's a pleasure to speak with. Always happy to teach if you don't know. So I'm going to do my best to sort of consolidate what's in that letter and just talk about the work that she's been doing. So the work that was being completed over the last week, I believe it's the week of, or around 8/19, was part of the urban tree management plan where all trees in the right-of-way are being inventoried. So a quick synopsis on the process is that each tree is inspected and reviewed for the following features: natural tendencies of a species, individual defects, location stresses, and they're measured in a bunch of different ways and put into a matrix a couple different times, and they eventually come out with 4 overall risk categories: low, moderate, high, and extreme. And so, as I stated before, as of August 19th, they've completed the removal of 7 trees and pruning of 10 trees that were deemed to be moderate to high to either public safety or personal property, so they were a danger. There are pictures as well in your packets. There were 4 located at Stone Park along Summer Street, 3 trees on Union Street were pruned at the intersection with Summer. 2 trees were taken down on the undeveloped town property of 0 Myrtle Street. And then there were also some pruning of dead limbs on 6 other trees in the area. And then 1 tree was removed that was located in the right-of-way of Chestnut. So there was large pines, I believe that was the last picture. So far through the urban tree management plan, they have inventoried 477 trees. That's about a quarter of the trees. And then only 7 have had to be removed. So that's approximately 1.5% of the trees that have been inventoried have had to be removed, which is good because that means that the rest of the trees were in good health. And so that's it for the update there.
I think that's really important work because we've seen in the news, you know, especially recently, like what happened with
Branches falling.
in Wayland.
trees,
Yeah, it's just, it's, so it's, you know, public safety, and it's important that we don't take any of that for granted, so.
Right, and it's important to, so the inventory isn't just sort of a one and done. So once they have the grade, there's a plan to go back and inspect those that are sort of falling in the middle that could potentially become a risk. So it's a really great tool.
And Becca does it, all this herself?
So
or
we
she-
hired out a company. So this was part of a capital project that was put in for the urban tree management plan. And so Becca's been working with them.
Yeah, there's a group of guys that are walking around.
Yep.
They have their vests on and everything, their hard hat and everything, so, yeah.
If residents have questions, or if they have trees that they are concerned about, should they reach out to Becca and say, hey, not like on their property, but if it's on, you know, on the street, right? I live on the street, and there's
took care of that
there's a
for you.
tree that's on my property, but it's within a couple of feet of the road, and I'm concerned about it. They should reach out to Becca and at least ask her to check it out.
Absolutely. She'd be happy to talk to.
Because
any
we're
resident.
responsible for the first 5 feet from the road? 4 feet?
Yeah.
I think,
It's 4 feet.
something like that. Okay.
Thank you to Becca
Yes, thank you,
for
Becca.
Yes.
Absolutely.
the memo and for
Yeah,
the
very nice.
pictures and for all the work.
Very
Catherine,
thorough.
there's
Very
a-
thorough.
Very thorough.
The trees that are being marked or are being designated for, you know, to be destroyed, if there is a safety issue with respect to line of sight, does that come into play as well?
That's a good question. I'd have to ask.
only reason
There's
why I
one of
asked.
the pictures that was in our packet on Union Street that, is that the?
Trimming?
Yeah, it's the trimming. Like you can see it, like the before and after.
Yeah.
You can't even see the traffic light.
Right.
With
Right.
the tree, and then it was pruned, and all of a sudden, you know,
The
it's
tree
safe
that,
again.
yeah, the tree that I was suggesting is there's a tree on South Street, and I'm having a senior moment, I can't remember the right off of South Street, but it's right at the corner. So cars that are coming out and turning onto South Street can't see the vehicles coming down the hill. Yep, and I'm having a senior moment, I can't remember what the name of that road is. It's not Allard Circle, it's part of Allard Circle, I can't remember. Anyway, it's that tree, and you can't miss it. It's huge,
Yeah,
and it's causing a
problem,
problem.
yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, keep going.
I think I have one
Good,
more.
thank you.
Yep.
So the Corderville Road bridge repair, so this is not the larger project that will happen in the next couple of years. So this is just a regular inspection that Mass DOT does. And so through this regular inspection, we found that we needed to make a repair to the bridge by installing a road plate over the area in question. So last week, DPW removed the existing road plate and installed the new road plate, and then completed the finishing work as required. And so that's the update.
There were cones on it saying
Yep,
narrow
yep,
bridge.
narrow bridge ahead, yep.
Absolutely. So that
And they had a big
fixes
light
it.
too
Yep.
during that
fix
time,
is
yeah.
done.
Chuckled, I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a narrow bridge.
I was driving with somebody, and they're like, it's always a narrow bridge. What is this sign
That's what I
mean?
said.
It hasn't changed. And I said, well,
Should
no,
add an ER.
it's a little bit narrower because there's, whatever, 2 feet of road work being done. The regroup, emergency
Oh, did I forget
notification
that one?
system?
I
Yeah.
apologize,
That's
sorry.
okay.
I
Don't
was
worry about
looking at my notes. Oh, yeah, so the update on the regroup. So we used to have Code Red. We are switching to Regroup. It's definitely a cheaper product. It's still as helpful and as good. And then, so what's going to happen here? So Code Red, anyone who is signed up with Code Red will be moved over to Regroup.
Automatically?
Yes, and then anyone who is interested in signing up will have to sign up for it, just like you would have had to do with Code Red. And so they've blasted out some information there, and I can talk to them again to do another blast to see if we can get as many residents as
Has the switch happened from Code Red to Regroup
Yes,
yet? Okay.
yes. And so I know that work, Clara had been doing that, and Dan talked about it a little bit. So you can, do sections of town, so if you don't need to notify the whole town and it's
Oh,
just
good.
a neighborhood.
Nice.
So it's an emergency notification system? I mean, that's
Yep.
its.
Very similar
but
to
it-
Code Red, just much cheaper.
Yeah, and can also be used for things that aren't emergencies, but are good to know.
Right.
Yeah, we just have to be careful because sometimes
Oh,
people
yeah, no, I
exaggerate.
know.
Yeah,
We have one in the schools, or had
Yeah.
one, yeah.
yeah. It should be. It should be. I can double check. Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Catherine? Are you good?
No, that
Okay.
is it.
All right, we're moving on to board reports. Mr. Mignani. Oh, your mic's off.
Sorry, use my outside voice. I had the pleasure of being at the farmer's market with Yolanda, and this past Saturday, it was a wonderful day. A lot of folks stopped by and talked about many things in general, nothing specific, but a lot of things in general. And it was good dialogue. It was a very, very good dialogue. Nothing to report on Council on Aging, because I gave a report prior to already. Just an update that the last summer concert was Tuesday night, and we had to cancel it, unfortunately, because 2 of the band members got sick. Oh. We get a call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a bummer. It was a bummer.
Yeah. Because Tuesday
So-
was nice. Yes, yeah.
Oh, I know. It was a
Last night,
gorgeous
yeah.
night.
Would have been perfect for
Yeah,
a concert.
that's too bad. Right, so unfortunately, but thank you to everybody that participated and came and enjoyed the free concerts. Hopefully we can get it again and continue that tradition. It's although a lot of people can't go away, so this is a nice regroup for the folks to come down and enjoy, and they don't have to pay and just get out and enjoy the company of their neighbors and friends and the community and listen to some great music. Sorry, Bruce Springsteen was not available this summer for us to be there, but that's okay. Maybe next year. You never know.
Never know.
Never know. And lastly, the corn sales are going great for the Ashland Day Committee, and we're moving along. We've got almost 3 weeks to go before Ashland Day comes up, and I would say we're about 85% there with getting all the responses back from the folks that we sent out, and we sent out early again yesterday and earlier this morning. So getting a lot of emails. I was just checking my emails. I'm getting responses back, which is cool. So just pray for some good weather, and we look forward to seeing everybody at our 40th anniversary, which is good. And thank everybody that's got involved in this to do it, and we just keep on moving.
I have one question, because I went to the site today, because I was looking at timing for somebody. There's no way on the site to do a donation? If someone wanted to donate to Ashland Day, I mean, last year we did a lot of recruiting and donating and stuff. Is there a way for someone to say, hey, I want to donate to support Ashland Day?
Thought we had that in there. I'll have to go check.
We're working on it.
I thought we did.
Okay, I didn't notice it on the site, so,
Yeah,
okay.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Is that everything for
That's
you,
it.
my friend?
I'm all set. Thank
All
you.
right. Yolanda, you're up.
So as Joe reminded me, yes, we were at the farmer's market on Saturday, and the week before, we were at the Indian flag raising,
Yep.
and we planted a tree with the Ashland Indians. That was fun. There was a number of us there, so that was good. This morning, sort of last minute last night, I was like, oh, I can go tomorrow morning, so I wound up going to opening day of the Ashland Public Schools. It was great to be there and sit with the school committee members and just see the enthusiasm in the room, and sitting as they celebrated the longevity of so many people I should have taken notes, and I apologize. I wanted to give a shout out. There was someone from, I think it's Warren School who was there 40 years.
Wow.
Someone from the middle school who was 35 years. There was a number of people that were 20 and 25. And then the number of people who have been there 5 or more, 5 years, it was just, but it was great to see. And again, it had been a while since I'd been to one of those, so it was nice to see and participate in that. And then implementation committee. So just a real quick update. So Tricia Kendall is going to be the planning board representative. So she and I had a conversation today. I had already started doing some outreach for some of the folks who were showing an interest. And Tricia and I have picked a date. We're going to send an email to everyone who is interested and do a meeting with everybody and sort of have a conversation as to what we foresee as the implementation committee is going to be. Let people ask their questions and be at that meeting. And then from there, determine, people we're going to pick a day and time to have the initial meetings once a month. And that may self-select people if they can't do that time, similar to what we did when we did the initial comprehensive plan. And then determine, who might work and fit and go from there. So that's definitely not next meeting. But we may look to either join the planning board for their first meeting in September or have the planning board join us. And it wouldn't be a long meeting. It would not be interviews or anything. It would just be, here's a list of people we recommend based on this meeting that we'd like to be appointed to the implementation committee.
Could we do, I don't think we would need to do a joint meeting?
We don't have to do a joint
Okay.
meeting. We could do it and then they could do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're trying to determine what the best
Okay.
way is to do that.
All right, I'm just trying to,
Yep. Then just 2 other updates. A reminder, the Kitty Fenwall Car Show is Saturday, September 12th. And I know we have a meeting next week, but still just trying to remind people, they are also looking for people to sponsor the car show if you're interested, similar to what we did. And then, of course, Labor Day is the 7th. And that's all I got for now.
sounds good. Nikita?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yes, so as Yolanda mentioned, a number of us were at the Ashland Indians Independence Day event, planted a tree. Thank you very much, Ashland Indians, for inviting us. It was a really wonderful community event. And of course, Select Board office hours last weekend. It was incredible to see the community out. Come by and ask us questions. We have another one scheduled for 10:10, so we'll have to talk about scheduling shifts for that, y'all. More soon. Very sorry I couldn't attend opening day for Ashland Public Schools, but I want to wish everybody, teachers, families, kids alike, good luck. Next week, it starts school, August 31st, and the fun begins. I'm sure our young people are very excited to get back into the classroom. I'm
There
being
you
facetious.
go.
Trying to get that energy out there.
I'm trying to get that energy out there. But yeah, that's all I really have for now. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Claudia?
Thank you. And I had the opportunity to attend the donation of a little library from Howie Axelrod in memory of Nancy with others, members as well.
Very nice.
Located at Kid Spots. It was really a very nice event. Just to, again, mention the Indian flag raising in celebration of the 80th anniversary of independence. And I think what really struck me that day, too, was just in the back there, I can't even think now, what it says Ashland, what's the sign say on the back of the,
Ashland Indians United.
Their sign that they had?
not their sign. In any case, what I was struck by is what Ashland is and how welcoming we are to, all people. And it just was, it was really kind of moving, standing there looking at everything and all the people and some of the performances, and just thinking about how proud I was to be a part of this community. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say here. So thank you. Last week was the ABA YMCA barbecue.
I forgot to say, there was another thing that I should have mentioned.
There we go. And so, that was a very nice event. They actually recognized my husband for his retiring as treasurer for the ABA after 15 years serving in that capacity, so it was really nice for him. We managed to get the most of our family there.
You did.
Yeah, which was so funny because, you know, it was not something that we typically attend as a family and so we kind of thought, oh, geez, now he saw them come and they hadn't gotten to it. And then at the end of the night, he goes, oh, that's why you were here? Like, he's pretty, it's easy to fool him. So in any case, it was fun, but he was certainly honored, so. And, you know, I was kind of an add-on at the select board meeting hours for a little bit, but I did want to mention that there were a lot of people that came by, more than I had seen, and it was much more engaging. That's kind of.
Yep.
And one thing that they did, that we talked about too, is a lot of people, you know, I heard, you know, maybe Makita or Brandy, they were saying, yeah, if you wanted to reach us and giving information. So we were thinking that would be something great to put in the newsletter, right? If you want to get in touch with select board and just maybe our email address, right? The group email
Yeah,
address.
absolutely.
That, you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes people have questions and that, you know, most of them are more about the DPW stuff than they are.
Well, and then we had some questions about the lanternfly situation as well.
And I actually reached out to Dan, and Dan, not to Dan, I actually uploaded the picture to the state website. And it didn't, before I did that, it didn't look like it was a lanternflies. And then the gentleman who had given us that information had gone and looked it up with somebody too and said it wasn't, but I did upload it anyways. I said, look, we don't think this is, but we
just
want
in
you to look
case,
at it. Maybe it's something else we should address, right?
Exactly. No way.
So,
I had nightmares about that.
well, it was definitely nightmare material.
It was, yeah, it was nightmare fuel, let me tell you.
He felt bad, he actually apologized. I'm sorry that I, raised the flag.
That's okay.
Microphone, Joe.
There's nothing wrong with being asking.
No,
Yeah,
Nobody has to
absolutely,
apologize for
absolutely.
asking.
And that's what we're here for, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
to
yeah.
try to bring some clarity to some of this stuff, so. Yeah.
Could I add one more thing? Because Claudia reminded me that, you know, with the Metro West barbecue, and the lieutenant governor was there.
Okay.
And
Well, she was actually
she was
at an event.
She was
that they were
so she was
sponsoring
at
and
an event, but the day before I was reached out to by the Y. So we met her up at the YMCA site where they're going to be building the, you know, starting with the Early Learning Center. And so I had, you know, I got to meet her and, well, not meet her, but talk to her again. And we had a quick conversation about housing and the whole ADU thing. And I said to her, I said, you know, from an ADU perspective, for some communities, they had things. She's like, yeah, but until we passed it at the state level, it wasn't necessarily happening. And she shared a story of some community where they were, you know, now by right, you can do the ADU. Right. And she shared about a family where the daughter was divorced. She and her kids moved into the main house, and the parents had built a, you know, an accessory dwelling unit next to the house on the garage or something. So that kind of stuff, it's good to hear that that is then counting toward housing units here in Massachusetts because we're still short. So, but it was just nice for her to come out and spend some time at the site and see what we're doing with the YMCA.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Anything else, Claudia, Yolanda? You guys? You have one more thing?
One more before I get into the doghouse. I just want to wish my wife 40 years of being a crossing guard, starting on Monday.
Wow.
Yep. The person said she would never work any, you know, she loves what she's doing and she really doesn't want to give it up. She loves the kids. She loves what she does. So I wish her well. Congratulations on 40.
She runs a tight ship over there.
Oh, I should know.
Both places.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I should know.
I have a crossing guard story for you. I'll tell you off camera.
Oh, boy.
No, it's funny.
Okay.
I don't want to take up people's time.
We don't want to have to go past 10.
No, we are not going past 10 o'clock. I am going to be super quick because, you know, just, I was also we were all kind of rotating in office hours on Saturday. It was awesome. Thank you to Makita for pulling that together, for reaching out to the farmers market and hurting the.
She volunteered to do that, didn't she?
She did.
I think the term is voluntold.
Doesn't
Claudia.
matter.
It's one of those things that at some point, we all, I mean, I think I started, and then Brandy took it over, and then, yeah.
Well,
so-
but I will say also, if we're on that subject, I'll just say that, after the farmer's market is done, we have to start working on our fall and winter office hours.
Yep.
We can discuss that at a different meeting, but I feel strongly that we should be consistent about those, and I have some ideas.
Okay,
agree.
awesome. I like that. All right, but thank you for volunteering. I appreciate that. So, and the only thing I wanted to remind folks of, Friday night is Downtown After Dark. It's a bigger event this year. It's going to be really cool. I think it's 5 to 9 o'clock, I think is the time frame.
4:30 maybe.
Okay, I should have written it down, but I didn't. So all the downtown businesses are participating. There's a lot of live music. There's a ton of food options. So come down. Hopefully the weather will cooperate and just kind of enjoy being in downtown Ashland. It's a very kid-friendly, family-friendly thing, and support our local businesses. And this, just to also let people know, this is put on by our local businesses. So it's, Lauren Crowley at Sub-Zero and Lisa Churchill at Blush and folks at Needham Bank and Clover Road. And I know I'm forgetting other people, I think Hannah over at Reiki. So there's just a lot of our downtown businesses that are working really hard to try to make sure that our residents both support them and have a really good time doing it. So
Such a great event. Last year was fun, so you're saying it's going to be bigger and better this year? Like,
bigger and better.
people need to get down there. It's such a great way to kind of not think about
End the
what
summer.
happens the next week, the end of school, a great way to launch the beginning of fall and celebrate the end of summer. So I hope we
you
see a
go.
big community turnout at that
Yes.
event.
Nice.
And also to that point, Saturday night is movie night at Corner Spot. So, so lots of community things going on this weekend. So, and so I encourage folks to get out and enjoy. So, our next select board meeting is next Wednesday, the 2nd. And then we're kind of getting back on our regular cadence of first and third Wednesdays.
Great.
So, with that, unless anybody else has anything, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. We will see you next week.
If
Have a
not
good night.
before.
If not before, we are adjourned.